this really starts getting down to why we baptize our children. Non-infant baptizing Christians, they look at their children and they think, I need to evangelize my children. I need to preach the gospel to them so that they will believe. Where from our side, we're not evangelizing our children, we're discipling them. They've been baptized, they've been brought into the new covenant. And the funny thing is, non-infant baptizing Christians who have children are still doing the same thing. And they make them do Christian things. You make your kids pray with you, you read the Bible to them, you get on to them when they sin, you need to ask your brother for forgiveness, you hit him or you stole his toy, whatever. To me, that seems a little inconsistent. If your children aren't Christians, why are you making them do Christian stuff? Now they are right to play devil's advocate. You can be like, well, this is part of the evangelizing. We're showing them what being a Christian is, and we want them to be a part of this and put their faith in Jesus. I get all that. For us, it's just, you belong to Jesus. You have been baptized in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You're a Christian now, and you live a certain way. They get raised up into that. And I don't think there's anything inconsistent about that, because an ancient Israelite would have been taught the same thing. A little Jewish boy would not have been told, like, he's been circumcised, be like, but it's really up to you if you want to worship Yahweh or not. Yeah, I worked at Taco Bell for like 3 years, and I love it, man. None of it grosses me out.
You can pull it mic closer.
Oh, sorry, there. Okay.
You loved working at Taco Bell.
I loved it, man. Well, no, I'll tell you, I didn't love it. I used to get very angry. I didn't become a Christian until I was 18, and so I was working at Taco Bell like in that transition.
Okay.
And I'm not an angry person, but like Taco Bell made me angry. Especially on Wednesday nights, because like I grew up in a small town like here too, so like Wednesday nights, it would be jumping like an hour before like Wednesday night Bible like church, and people would come in, and I worked at a Taco Bell KFC, so they would do the chicken fried steak meals or whatever. So everyone, their mother would come in. They would, you know what I'm talking about. They'd come in, like it'd be just crazy busy rush. It'd be like we get through like, all right, cool, and then it'd be dead until like 7:30, whatever it was. The good old days when people still did like Wednesday night Bible stuff.
Now, did you mix and match? Did you know the KFC side as well, or just the Taco Bell stuff?
I'll say it was all together. It was like people do the same. People were like, "Yeah, can I get the chicken fried steak meal and let me get a cheesy gordita?"
Yeah.
And it's like, all right. And it's like, I do it all.
I worked at a KFC in high school.
Oh, okay, cool. Man.
And
mashed potato bowls, man.
We lived in a college town, and right before closing, all the football players would swing by to get all the free chicken that that essentially we accidentally dropped too much chicken. I actually paid my way through. I paid my way through my senior year in rent. I was staying with a buddy, and essentially, his dad was like, "Hey, if you can just bring chicken every once in a while, I'll let you stay here for free."
That's sick.
I was like, "All right, cool."
That's pretty awesome.
So miraculously, chicken would just, oh no, we've got too much chicken. What do we do now?
I would do the same thing. I worked at Starbucks after I got out of the Navy, and yeah, we would every single night you had to throw all the food stuff away. Like, oh, you're not supposed to keep it, and they tell you like you need to throw it away. No one's throwing it away. Like, that's how I ate when I was in Bible college.
Right.
I'm taking all these paninis home.
Oh, it's great for your digestion.
It was awful when I had such a bad diet, man. When I joined the Navy, it was crazy. Like, I didn't realize, like, when I joined the Navy, I like left Taco Bell to join the Navy, and I mean, I could eat like whatever I can't remember what it's called now, but like the 10 items plus meal, whatever, party pack. I could 10 whatever. I could eat no problem. I got in boot camp, and I couldn't eat like half a turkey sandwich without it making me sick. And so like, yeah, it was crazy. Like, my body had just like got
you'd like totally gotten used to
like normal. Yeah, I used to process food like just crap, and so to eat like regular, I don't know how regular.
What's boot camp giving you?
Yeah, but I mean, I remember I remember my body like having to like change. Like I had to get used to like normal food, and then I just couldn't stop eating. I was just like, it's like I'd eat breakfast. I feel like I just would gorge myself, and just an hour later I'd be like, I'm so hungry. Like, when are we gonna have lunch? They're like, shut up, do push-ups. Like, dang it.
How long were you in the military?
I did 6 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I saw you guys did an episode with a guy. It looked like y'all had like a submarine background.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on submarines.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about that because you already did that. And
we have multiple perspectives here.
Yeah,
there you were. What branch?
I was in the Navy.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was on a submarine.
I think the only ones who have submarines.
I think the only ones who have submarines. Okay. Yeah.
Forgive my ignorance.
No, you're fine. No, so here's the funny thing. When I joined, quick background just on my life in general, right? So, or at least 18 and up. So I graduated high school, and I did the whole, I'm going to wait a year before I go to college. And then,
gap year.
Yeah. And then I went a year, and then a year went by, and I was like, I don't have money to go to college.
Yeah.
And so I was working at Taco Bell, man. I was working crazy hours. And I remember it was a Monday morning. Like I got up, like Taco Bell closed at 2 a.m. I didn't have a car. I had to walk home. It was like February, March-ish, and it was freezing cold. So I walk home. It took me like an hour just to walk home. Anyways, by the time it's all said and done, it's like 5 a.m, and I just go to sleep. And then I wake up, it's like 11:30, almost noon, and I gotta be at work at 2. And I remember I just like sat up. I was sleeping on my mom's couch at the time. And I sat up and I was like, man, like I've got to do something. Like this is not like I cannot keep living this way. And I was so ignorant of like what the military was. I thought that's what it was. I thought it was just the military. Like it was. I didn't know there were different branches. And so I think I remember just flipping on the book and like beelining for the M's, and somehow I just I skipped M's and got to the N's, and like Navy popped up. And I was like, all right. And like I still thought it was all the same thing. So until it was all said and done, and I was like, oh, there's different parts of all this. Okay, well, I'm already here. What am I gonna do now? And
sure, you learned real quick in boot camp.
I did. So funny thing about that, man. Like I remember. So I this was on a Monday, and like no joke, I left for boot camp that Friday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude, my recruiter was so stoked. He's like, dude, I don't have to do anything for like the next 6 months because I mean, this is awesome. And so, but like, I remember the day I left, I was so excited. I was jazzed up. My whole life like changed. And the Navy's slogan was accelerate your life. And so, so I don't know if I'm too close or too far away from this.
Just pull it up to you. Like
there we go, right here. Okay.
And then when you lean back, just pull it back.
Oh yeah, there. I'll do this. There we go. That works.
Yeah. Get comfy.
Anyway, so I was like, I'm accelerating my life. Like I was so happy, man. And so Friday we get on the plane. It's my first time flying an airplane, and and I'm with like a group of people, and they're like, and I'm like, what's y'all's problem, man? And I was like, and I remember I kept telling myself this all day. I was like, they're in a bad mood, whatever. I'm in a good mood. I joined the Navy today. We get to Chicago. We go to like, we're supposed to meet up, and there are guys there, and they're like, sit down, shut up, don't talk to anybody. And I'm like, what's their problem? I was like, that must be a Chicago thing. They're having a bad day. I'm having a good day. I joined the Navy today. We get on the bus, and they say, sit down, shut up, watch the movie, don't go to sleep or we'll kill you. I'm like, yikes, this is crazy, man. Dude, it's flying over my head. They put this video on the bus, and my heart sunk into my stomach, man.
You realized.
Because it was like this really calm lady's voice. She's like, at recruit training command, you'll learn all the basics of being a United States sailor. That's the voice. But the video is just people getting yelled at. Like they're like girls, like their hair's all frizzy and crazy looking. Like guys are just getting just like it was. And then all the boot camp movies like flashed through my head, like Full Metal Jacket, Jarheads, like Major Payne, like all of them popped in my head. I was like, I'm going to boot camp. Like, oh no. And so, yeah, it was.
Felt a longing for Taco Bell.
I was like, I would love to work at Taco Bell right now. No, it was cool. Cause then like I said, I only had my recruiter for like a week. And so I didn't remember everything he told me, but I remember, no, I didn't remember this. I got there and you had to make 2 phone calls. You had to call your recruiter so you knew that you got there. You didn't like dip out, and call your family. And so I call my family. Hey, love you. I'm here. I'll talk to you in a couple months. And I call the recruiter, and he's like, oh, cool, you're there, man. Awesome. And I guess he heard my voice, and I was freaking out. And he was like, hey, listen, man. And this was huge. And so anybody watching this who's thinking about joining the military, like, take this. The people who are yelling at you, saying all the awful things about you, making you do all this stuff, and you're feeling bad and sad, and you don't want to be there, and you feel like a loser. No. This is just their day job. They're going home every single night to their wife and their kids, and they're not yelling at them. Well, they might be. But he was saying, like, it's just a job. It's all a big act. And he's like, listen, man, he goes, just shut up, wake up, brush your teeth, and put your clothes on, and do what they say, and you'll get by just fine. And that's all I did, man. I just chilled out. And you see it, man, because you see people like, they can't take it. Guys start yelling in their face. They're like, then they start yelling back at them. Like, dude, like, chill out, man. Just like make your bed, put your socks on. Like, it's not that big a deal. And so,
did you grow up in a pretty disciplined household though?
Nah, man. So I guess more background. No, I grew up in like I said, I didn't become a Christian until I was 18. So I didn't grow up in a Christian home, but I grew up here in Texas, right? East Texas. So very like kind of Christian culture. Like I grew up knowing like, oh yeah, Christmas is Jesus' birthday. Easter, he rose from the dead. Like I knew that stuff, but no, didn't grow up in a Christian home at all. Grew up in actually a very drug addicted home, like all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, like my dad actually died of a heroin overdose 5-7 years ago. Here recently, since I've been married to my wife. My daughter, okay, so my youngest wasn't born yet. She was about to be born. So I guess 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so anyway, so I not a disciplined home at all. I had like a really overbearing mom, but like that probably was more like abusive or whatever than like disciplined. So yeah, so having like dudes yelling at me, making me like do stuff, like I wasn't used to that at all.
What I would think, I don't know. I've got 3 younger brothers that all went through boot camp and military in some sort of fashion.
Okay.
And we did grow up in a very disciplined home. So I'm curious if people that go through that experience based on their childhood and their upbringing, if it's easier or harder because it like flashbacks to your childhood of like
just trauma,
dad yelling at me. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm. No, I think probably, I mean, being in the Navy also, like, you're right. Also, I think there's probably a tier. Like, the Marines is probably like the worst boot camp. And then you get to like the Air Force, which is like the easiest boot camp. Coast Guard, strangely enough, is like, I've seen videos of Coast Guard boot camp. But I'm like, they go a little harder than even the Navy does.
Really?
I mean, that might be like a overcompensating thing. Like, we have boats too. And so, but yeah, I think the Navy's probably on the lower tier of like easy boot camps to get through. So it probably wasn't that big a deal anyways. But yeah, man, I just went there, just did what they told me to do, and I was done 2 months later.
Like Forrest Gump.
Like Forrest Gump, man, to do whatever you say, drill sergeant.
Then it stuck you in a sub.
Then they stuck me in a sub. No, so I picked, so like I said, the reason I think I went so fast is because I got there, right, because I went to the MEPS for a while, was in Dallas, like downtown where JFK got shot. It's like that building, like that's in the video or whatever. That's the building that you go into. So I went there. Like I said, this was on a Monday I chose to do this. Tuesday I go up to Dallas. Do the whole, you do all the stretches and the exercises. They look at your butt and they like make you do the duck walk. They, they do all the stuff. Then you go to like a hotel and then you come back the next morning. So like Wednesday morning, I show up like 5 a.m. I sit down. So I'm not looking at you. I'm like looking like everywhere else. I sit down and, the guy comes up to me. He goes, "When do you want to leave?" And I was like, "As soon as possible." Leaves, comes back like an hour later. And he's like, "Do you want to go on a submarine?" And I was like, "Sure." I don't even think I'd ever thought about a submarine. Like I don't think it had ever crossed my head, like my brain synapses or whatever. And so it was after he walked away, I was like, a submarine. I was like, "Oh yeah, it's like a boat that goes underwater." I'm like, "Oh, that sounds kind of cool." And then an hour later, he came up again. He goes, "Follow me." And I guess typically they normally put like 5 or 6 jobs in front of you, and you pick one, whatever one you want.
Yeah.
And he put one job in front of me. And
Don't you do like an aptitude test?
Yeah, it's called the
AFAB. Is it not? Is that part of NEPS?
ASFAB? Is that
ASFAB?
something like that? There's some test you take, a military test. I took it the Monday when I called him. He came and got me, and I got like a 70 on it. And I thought I was like, oh, that's like a C. But he says like, no, that's not how. It's like it's a different rating system. Yeah, you can look it up. Whatever the military test is. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, the ASFAB. And so you take that, and I think it tries to figure out just what you're good at. Are you mechanical, or are you like more like, do you lean electrical, or are you just a grunt that needs to carry a gun?
You just want to kill people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think like they kind of take all that into consideration. So I got a 70. I guess that's supposed to lean like more like electrical kind of stuff. And so, and being on a submarine, being on a submarine is volunteer. You have to volunteer for it. And I guess a lot of people don't want to do it. And so, another thing, if you do join the military and you haven't joined the Navy, go on a submarine because it's like the easiest thing in the world. Because like surface Navy is like really really stiff, and like how how you talk to people and saluting them, and like there's officer country, like there's areas of the ship you can't go to. But like on a submarine, we're underwater, man. No one sees us, and so it's a wild west.
It's a wild time.
It's a wild time. We grow our beards out. We wear regular clothes, like. And then like a week or two before we come back, we have to shave and put our uniforms on and pretend this is what we've been doing the entire time. People listen to this, they'll be like, "Don't be telling them that. Don't tell them our secrets."
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of sub were you on?
So I was thinking, so my job was, I was a missile technician. So my job worked with ballistic missiles, like those nuclear weapons, right? Like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I worked on those, and we only have those on a specific type of submarine. So it's called a ballistic missile submarine, a boomer is what we call them.
Okay.
And so before like boomer was a thing. And so, yeah, I was on, you can look at it. Actually, you can even look up my ship on YouTube of us actually launching a missile. I got to do that, which was kind of cool. Yeah. Yep. I have that pin and that picture right there.
What was the ship called?
The USS Tennessee. Put SSBN 734. Yeah, there it is.
Is there more than one USS Tennessee?
It showed like an old World War II boat. Yeah, that's my boat, man. I was on that bad boy.
Wow.
Yeah, man. It was cool. Like, I'm glad I did it. I kind of kick myself sometimes because I was very much like not patriotic when I was in. Like I was just like, screw this. I can't wait to get out.
What year was that?
I was in from 2010 to 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. During Obama.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I didn't really see the big difference. I hear like, oh man, when you're under a Democratic president, the military sucks. I wouldn't. I don't know. I have no. I wasn't in long enough to.
You only
see
have
it
one
under-
reference point.
Yeah, I don't know what it was like under Trump. I guess it was all right. I had friends who stayed in because of it. So
Really?
not because of Trump, but they stayed in.
Yeah.
And, while Trump's president, they're like I said, I don't feel like there was that big a difference. Like, at least not from them. They're like kind of just did the same thing that we normally do.
Would
I
you
mean,
also,
how much really changes in your day-to-day life?
I don't think.
Like, I mean, I haven't noticed a day-to-day life difference between Trump, Obama, Biden.
Yeah, like even now, like after
Even the government shutdown that's going right now, I'm like,
Well, that's hurting me right now.
is it?
Yeah, so I don't work directly for the government, but I have a job. Like I'm a subcontractor, and so the government has stuff that they need to do. They don't want to do, so they just hire other people to do it. And so my company does that. And so it's a really weird place because like I'm not a government worker, but obviously whatever happens to the government does affect me.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I have a job still, which is great. Praise God for that. But a little nerve wracking.
yeah.
But yeah, like you said, like if you're not in the middle, yeah, it's like what is the I don't care about a
I
government.
mean, the
shutdown.
mail still. I was talking to the mailman today, and he's like, "Yeah, it doesn't affect us at all."
I don't think it's affecting the military. I think they still got paid. I think it's supposed to like. I think if it stays shut down, I think this week it's supposed to get like kind of ugly.
It's messing with TSA right now.
Yeah, that's it. I got to fly on
airport
Sunday. I'm a little
security
nervous about that, man. I'm flying out of Shreveport. I don't know. Y'all flying out of Shreveport?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
man.
nice. It's
It's a nice little
chill,
thing.
cozy airport to fly out of.
Is it?
Yeah, that's
It's
what I'm
like-
saying, man. They're kind of hood out there, man.
There's
They're
like
not
two security. There's two security lines, and like
I legit saw a guy. He tried putting his bag on the thing. I don't get anyone in trouble, but like, and it didn't fit. Like, remember Meet the Parents when his bag wouldn't fit to that
Yeah.
little square? Like, kind of that happened, and it was like a black lady, and she was like, "Just walk through it, Shug. Like, just let him go."
Yeah.
And I was like, "This place is awesome.
yeah,
Just go through, honey."
yeah.
And so, yeah, man, did that for 6 years, and like I said, being on a submarine is super chill. But like,
See some interesting places?
no, so that's the thing because we had nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to port anywhere. Like countries are like, we saw what you did to Japan twice. You're not coming here, and so we're not.
Well, just because we show up doesn't mean we're gonna nuke you. I mean,
yeah, no, yeah, exactly. But like, oh, this is a nice place. Let's just blow it up.
yeah,
And so, but no, I think that legit, that it's just like way too much security, and so
yeah, I can see that.
So we would go out to sea, dive underwater, and just drive in circles for a couple months. It was kind of cool because we weren't allowed to go to places. It was considered hazardous work environment. So the longest we were ever allowed to be out at sea was like no more than 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, which normal submarines will go out to sea for like 6 to 9 months. But they like go to Japan and Malaysia and Italy and Germany. They get to go all the cool places. I just had to stare at the same dudes every day for a couple months. But it was cool because it had a really good if you wanted a wife and kids, like a real good like family like environment, being on a boomer was like real easy. Like, cause like you knew for sure, like pretty much like once you got on, you knew what your schedule was gonna be like really like roughly. Like, okay, I know I'm gonna be home for Christmas. I'm not gonna be home for these birthdays. Like, and you can just ride that wave till you get out.
Yeah, pending World War III.
Yeah, World War III. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Any disabilities when you got out?
No, but you know what, man? You guys know like Caleb Hammer guy? He does the financial audit videos. Apparently, every military guy he's had to come on, like veteran, every single one of them has had disability. And my wife looks at me. She's like, "I think we need to jump on this train." Like,
What's wrong
Is it
with
too late?
I don't think so. I think you can, and I probably could. Yeah, Caleb, this guy, dude, his videos, his videos are addicting, man. They kind of get repetitive. They all make the same excuses.
Because you're getting to see him roast people.
Yeah, it's fun. I know. I always think
I think his most recent was he was going to audit a state.
Michigan.
It was at Michigan.
That's
Okay.
where he's from. I think he posted it's that one right there. That second one, that one from 3 days ago.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
The
But,
governor of Michigan invited him to audit the state. Like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely blew up.
yeah, it was pretty cool stuff, man. What were we talking about?
Well, military guys
6
come.
months in the military.
Military guys coming
Disabled.
out there.
Oh yeah, having
like-
disability. Yeah.
yeah.
So no, I don't have disability, but I mean, I've got like back problems and all that kind of stuff. But like, I don't know. It's one of those things. Like, when I'm watching his videos, I'm like, that dude's like totally full of crap. Like, that's not. He doesn't have a disability. He's fine. Like,
Yeah.
but I hear this too, man. It depends on where you go. Like some VAs, like I even here, right? So we live here in this area. There's a VA office down in Lufkin, and there's one like up in I think Longview. And I've been told the Longview one sucks. Don't go there. They're mean and they'll shoo you away. But apparently the Lufkin one, they're nice and they're sweet. Come in here, baby. Well, what's wrong? And so if I do want to go down that road, I'll head down to Lufkin.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but
It's so interesting.
So what got you out of the military?
probably a lot of things. I think my original, like I joined because I was like, I got to do something in my life. Like I can't stay in here, man. But I got out I got in and then being in, I got to the boat, I was really like, I was flip flopping every single day. Like one day, like, this is great. I could do this for 20 years. And like, even within the same day, like after lunch, I'd be like, this sucks. I'm getting out of here. I'm never going to be here. And I literally was just like, I felt like I was being tossed to and fro like every single day. And so I finally just sat down. I was like, what do I want to do? And legit, ever since I became a Christian when I was 18, I mean, I was a new Christian. I didn't know anything. I mean, I thought the Bible had Dungeons and Dragons and wizards and stuff. And like, I legit like
well,
yeah.
I mean, it
kind of has, it's got dragons in it. It's kind of sick. Yeah, it does have some cool stuff. Because like, I legit thought, like, I was thinking like medieval times. So I thought that's what, and Jesus was somewhere in there. But anyways, I mean, I was a new Christian, and I just knew, I don't know what it was. It was just the spirit. I knew from the jump. I was like, I want to be like a pastor. I want to be in ministry. Like, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know even what all this is about, but I know I want to do that. So I came back to that, and I was like, okay, well, that's what I want to do. Then being in the military is not, I'm not going to do this for 20 years. And so I kind of just, once I settled on that, and I just kind of rode the wave until it was time to get out. And it was so funny because the military in general kind of brainwashes you, like in boot camp, kind of throughout the entire time you're in. They really make you believe that none of y'all have jobs out here. Everybody is homeless if they're not in the military. Oh. Like, the job market's so scary. You're not gonna be able to find a job. You're not gonna be able to do it. Like, you need us. You need to stay here. And a lot of dudes really believe that. And like they kind of get themselves stuck. Like, they get out, they marry their high school sweetheart, they buy a house, they buy an Audi. They just blow all this money and get into so much debt. And then they get to the end of their 4 or 5 years. I had to do 6 years. Like, typically you do 4, 5 if you're on a submarine. In my job, I had to do 6. I don't know why, okay. But like, whatever, you come towards the end and you're looking and you're like, man, I'm up to my eyeballs in debt. My wife, I have 2 kids and my wife's pregnant with a 3rd one. I can't get a job. I don't know. And so they end up staying in. So when I told everyone I was getting out, they were already like freaking out. They're like, oh, what? You don't want to do this for 20 years? I'm like, no.
Because it's like a sense of security.
And it is. Yeah. There's a sense. I mean, trust me, there were times when I did get out, I was like, man, it did feel kind of nice knowing I was getting paid every 2 weeks. And if I was sick or whatever, or I had a toothache, I can go. But when I told them, I was like, yeah, I'm getting out. And they're like, what? What are you going to do, man? And I was like, I'm going to work at Starbucks. They're like, what? You're oh no, sorry. This was the chain of events. I said, I'm getting out. And they're like, what are you going to do for work? And they're trying to justify in their head why I'm getting out. They're like, oh, you're going to go work for one of those contractors. Like, there's like big contractors that worked with us. You're going to go just do the same thing, but make a lot more money. And I'm like, no, I'm going to work at Starbucks. And they're like, what? Like, what do you mean you're going to work at Starbucks? I was like, well, I'm just going to work there while I go to college. They're like, oh, okay, college. What are you going to go to college for? You're going to be like an engineer or something? Like, they're trying to figure it out. And I'm like, no, I'm going to Bible college. And they're like, you're going to be homeless, man. You're going to be living under the bridge. I mean, 10 years later, or 2016. So yeah, coming up on 10 years later, I don't live under a bridge. Wow. So, but anyways, I got out and I met my now wife, Ryan, and we met on Christian Mingle. It works. And so, we met on
solid endorsement.
Yeah, solid endorsement. I don't know if Christian Mingle's still around. It might be.
It should be.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, look it up. Christian Mingle.
I think it's still a thing.
You don't want that in your search history. You don't want Stephanie.
Oh man. Well, Stephanie's watching this. We looked it up. Yeah. And so we met on Christian Mingle, and I got out in February of 2016. So school didn't start till August. So I had something to do in the in-between. So I worked at Starbucks. Like, legit, I was a barista. And it was awesome. Like, if it paid enough, I would have done that forever. Like, sit around making coffee all day. Coffee? Yeah, dude, it's chill.
Pulling a shot.
Yeah, man. And like I said, people go to Starbucks, I mean, they're happy. They just want their coffee, and you're there to give it to them. But anyway, so I did that during the summer, and then the original plan was Ryan and our oldest were going to move down to Florida. That's where I was living, and we're gonna move to Orlando. I was gonna go to Bible college down there. We were just gonna live the dream doing that, and I was gonna go to seminary after that, and hopefully become a pastor. Blah blah blah. Like, that was the plan. That was the goal. And then we get married October 2016. So we met and married in 2016, 6 months. And so that's something too. You don't need to date forever. Like, you can just trust the Lord and like I said,
get it over with. I mean, find the right person, but also
exactly. Yeah,
there's no sense in being engaged for like 3 years or something.
Crazy, man. I mean, honestly, legit. I met Ryan. We met him at Christian Mingle in March of 2016, and I flew out to New Mexico to meet her in April. And dude, I would have married her that weekend if it had worked out. And so, but anyways, that was the plan. That didn't happen. We got married and immediately got pregnant with Lily, our sorry, my phone, our middle daughter, and family worship 6 p.m. I'm not there. And my wife has a pregnancy condition called hyperemesis gravidarum. It's pretty much just like deathbed pregnancy. It's like, instead of like getting big and glowing and just having a happy fun, like eat whatever you want. Like pregnancy, she's lost minimum 40 pounds every pregnancy. Yeah, like
What caused that?
it's called hyperemesis gravidarum. It's like it's a genome thing. It's genetic. And so, but whatever it is, it's like layman's terms, it's just like permanent morning sickness, 24/7, like nonstop.
Oh.
I saw a video on that the other day about I think a researcher discovered that the reason that happens is because we have a some kind of hormone or something that causes, what does it have to do? It has to do with like there's a certain amount of it in your system that I can't remember the effect. But when you get pregnant, either you don't have enough of it and that hormone rises and now you feel morning sickness all the time because you're not used to feeling it, or it's the reverse, something
like that. Yeah. My wife did all the digging. Like I don't know that much about it. I probably should know more about it, but it was rough. Anyways, like, so she got pregnant with Lily and she had to stop working. Like it's that bad. Like you literally can't, it's pretty much like just on you're bedridden the entire time. Obviously she didn't do that. We had lives to live, but it's pretty bad, man. Like it feels like the 1800s. Like, yeah, it would have been one of those, like, yeah, she has to stay in bed for the next year.
Yeah.
And so, but she had to quit her job. I was working at Starbucks, so I wasn't making any money. And so it was just like, it was way cheaper for me just to pick up all my theology books and just moved in Mexico than to have two people and all their stuff moved to Florida. And so I packed all my stuff, hopped on a plane, and then went to New Mexico. We were there for 8 years.
Wow.
And then we were there, and Mexico is awful. It's very blue, very just insane. And then it's kind of like, I wasn't really political. Like when we got married, like it just wasn't on my radar. You know, I was very much just kind of just go with life. Like, yeah, whatever comes. Like during the whole Trump thing, like I didn't get why everyone was like tripping about him. I was like, oh, what? But that means nothing to me. Like, it was that didn't care. But 2020 hit, and then like all that shifted. And so like, I don't know how bad it was here, man, but I mean, it was like third world country in New Mexico during 2020.
Really?
Yeah. Like it was bad. Like bread lines and very much like do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. Like our governors, dude, she was like having like parties for all like the rich elite, like,
but everyone else is 6 feet apart.
Everyone's 6 feet apart, wearing masks, and stand, only so many people can go inside the Walmart or the Costco, and churches were shut down. And it's crazy. Like you guys had Steven on. So like, but you guys know that he's, we're Reformed, like we're Calvinists, like and Reformed people, we typically like tote ourselves like, sola scriptura. Like we love obviously Christians love the Bible, but there's like the sense of like, yeah, like the scriptures, like that's our big, we like, go to the scriptures for everything. And dude, the Reformed churches were the first to shut down. They just, as soon as the governor said, shut down, don't worship anymore, they were like, whatever they say, we're doing it. No questions asked. And it was like all like the mega churches that were like, no, we're going to stay open. So like my family, we were just in this really weird place where like, well, I don't want to go to this mega church, but like, I love my church, but like, why are we not worshiping? We didn't have categories for it, man. And so anyways, sorry, I know we're just talking about whatever.
New Mexico.
Yeah, New Mexico. So 2020 was just wild, and it wasn't until November, and like George Floyd, like all that stuff happened. It was just a crazy year, man. It just kept getting wilder and wilder, and like I was looking at all of it, and I was thinking to myself, just thinking out loud, something isn't right about all this, but I just didn't have categories for it because this hadn't come up against us. And what I call this is like during this time, this is like very much the all churches were suffering because all the churches had become just statement of faith churches. It's like, what do you believe? And like, you just go to a church's website, like, what do they believe? And it's the basic stuff. Well, we believe in the Trinity. We believe in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. And we believe, you're saved by faith through grace. And we believe Jesus is coming again. He gave us his spirit. And that's it, right? Very basic. That's only going to inform your political theology only so much. And so when something like this happens, where people telling you can't worship anymore, all people have is their statement of faith. They're like, it doesn't say, I don't know what to do about this, And so I don't blame the churches that shut down. They didn't know. I don't think we knew any better. Honestly, I don't think we were prepared. I think we're a lot more prepared now than we were in 2020. But anyways, we're going through all this, and I have no idea what to think about all of it. And then November of 2020, a church up in Moscow, Idaho, Christkirk, their pastor is Doug Wilson. He's a very kind of hot topic guy, very polarizing. But anyways, they were having a peaceful protest up there. Their mayor or governor, someone was like, I mean, it got insane. They're like, you need to wear masks with your family, like in your house. Like it was something that like it just was. And they're like, we're not doing this anymore. And they had just had a George Floyd protest up there where people were not doing any of that stuff, not wearing masks, burning things down, trashing things. Excuse me. And so they're like, we're actually, and been calling it a peaceful protest. Well, Christkirk decided, well, we're actually going to have a genuine peaceful protest. We're going to meet outside of City Hall. The whole church is going to meet there, and we're just going to sing some psalms. And we're going to pray for our leaders, tell them that we're not going to stand for this, and we're going to go home. That's it. We're not going to burn anything down, do anything crazy. Anyways, the government Moscow's government caught wind of it, and they went out there the night before and sprayed 6-foot circles throughout the entire parking lot. You can look this video up, man. It's crazy. But like they went out there the night before and sprayed all these circles so that they can catch them out, right? Because the church is kind of big. There's like, they think like, I don't know how many it is now, but let's say like 500 members. That's a lot of people out in a parking lot. And if you got 6-foot circles, not everyone's gonna be standing 6 feet apart from each other. And they were legit arrested people. They arrested a young couple that were engaged because they weren't technically family because they were just engaged. They arrested them. They arrested another guy who he has a podcast called Cross Politic. It's him and a few other guys, but it's based out of there. Anyways, this all happens. It goes on Twitter, and I'm watching this, and it was crazy, man, because the engaged couple, they got done. They only sang like 3 songs, so they sang 3 psalms, and then someone was filming. The police came over to the engaged couple, and they're talking to them back and forth, and they eventually arrested them. So they're being handcuffed. This young boy and this young girl, I mean, they're like 18, 19, and they're being arrested. And in that moment, the whole church raised their hands to sing the doxology. And it was beautiful, right? Because they're literally being arrested as the words, praise God from whom all blessings flow. I was in tears. I was weeping. Like legit, I was just like, and I looked at my wife and I said, I don't know who these people are. I don't know what they're all about, but this is right. And what we're doing is not right. This like, we want to love our neighbor, not hurt anybody. Like they're literally being arrested for singing. That's the only thing. People can loot and burn and steal things, do all this insanity. Christians want to come out and sing, and they're getting arrested for it. Yeah. It was crazy, man.
Well, when you have a quote unquote righteous protest, the germs don't show up.
The who don't show up?
The germs.
The germs?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The virus wasn't there.
It wasn't there, man.
It wasn't there.
Funny. That's good. But yeah, man. So seeing them put us on a whole trajectory from 2020 on, and that's our theology started shifting, and we started embracing what at our church, like kind of in our circles, is called federal vision theology. And so federal vision, we could talk about that if you want, but anyways, we pretty much like theologically we started shifting and changing, and if you Google it, it's probably gonna come along.
So you sound like one of those dangerous churches that the FBI needs to be watching.
They do. They might be watching us. Yeah, federal vision. A lot of people speak bad about the federal vision, so it might have some ugly stuff in here.
What's the definition?
So in short, so this is another thing. I would call this like a real like intra reform conversation. So this is something among like Presbyterians, like people who believe in infant baptism and stuff. This is a kind of an inner circle talking. Like people, Baptists and like other denominations on the outside are like, that's a really weird conversation to have. Like that's y'all. That's not a problem for us.
What's the conversation?
The conversation pretty much is that the church was going through a time in the early mid 2000s of a really kind of focusing just on the individual salvation, just the individual salvation, right? Which is important, right? All of us are all obviously individually saved. All individually came to Christ in faith, right? But there was kind of losing this covenantal aspect, the fact that you're saved out of something and brought into a covenant relationship with God, and thus in a covenant relationship with the church. And so it was trying to blend the lines between, not blend the lines, but trying to understand the lines between God's sovereignty and salvation, and also this covenantal aspect that you are genuinely and truly brought into a covenant relationship with God. So specifically, this really starts getting down to why we baptize our children. And you had a bunch of Presbyterians, and you have a bunch of Presbyterians today who will make statements like, they'll baptize children, baptize infants, and say they're in the covenant, but then won't treat them like, right? In essence, right, when we say you're in the covenant, it's just another way of saying you're a Christian. You've been brought into a Christian world, right? You've been brought into the kingdom of God through baptism, but then they're not being treated like Christians. They're being treated like unbelievers, and so they don't get to come to the Lord's table. They don't get to do anything. They're really still treated just regular kids who don't believe in Jesus. And so the Federal Vision guys were trying to, that's where the phrase comes from. Federal Vision was just sorry, my Band-Aid's coming off. It was just a conference, and that's what it was called, the Federal Vision. Federal is just from the Latin word foedus, which means covenant. So covenant vision. How should we understand what is the status of our children, of our baptized children? That's really what it came down to. And so the language, and so what made it a hot topic is because the language made it start sounding like we're saying that baptism saves people, like, you know, like, or that it's that you're justified by baptism and not by faith. Pretty much, and you had people on all side, on both sides, that were saying, like, you sound Catholic or you sound not Catholic. It was really weird. It was like the Federal Vision was blamed for lots of things that it wasn't saying at all. And yeah, that's a podcast all in itself to really kind of flesh it out. But nonetheless, pretty much what you see on the boots on the ground with Federal Vision theology is that we take it seriously. When we baptize children, we generally put our money where our mouth is, right? If we say they're baptized and they've been brought into the new covenant, then we treat them like that. We treat them like Christians. So we begin discipling them. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, we hope they're Christians. They may prove themselves to not be Christians.
These children are choosing to be baptized.
No, I'm talking about infants, babies.
Infant baptism.
Infant baptism. Now, I would say the same thing for any choosing to be baptized. It'd be you run into the same problem. If let's say we're in a church together and you came in, you know, I believe in Jesus, and you're baptized. How are we going to treat you? We're going to treat you like a Christian, right? You're going to come to the Lord's table. You're going to do fellowship in life with us, right? Now, let's say 15 years from the road, you walk away from all this. You say, I hate God. I hate Jesus. I want nothing to do with this. And then you live the rest of your life as an unbeliever and you die. What do we do with that? The typical answer for most evangelicals is that, oh, he was never a believer, or he was never a Christian to begin with. That's what they'll say, right? Just 1 John 2:1. They went out from us to show they were never really of us. That's kind of the thinking. Where on the Federal Vision side, we would say, no, you were a Christian generally because you were baptized. Now, do you see where it's starting to get really weird? Because now what does it sound like I'm saying? That you can lose your salvation, right? Is that what it's starting to almost sound like that, where it's not. We're just saying that baptism is like a legit, like a thumbprint. It's something you can see in space and time. Someone is baptized, they're brought into the church.
Well, it's an outward sign of an inward change.
That's a typical definition of it. Yeah. I would define baptism a little differently, but nonetheless, baptism is something. It's something that happens to you, right? And it changes. It signifies something different. Yeah, we'll go. It's a sign, right?
It's an event.
It's an event. It's a rite that happens, right? Just like when people get married. Two people walk in not married into a church, words are said over them, rings are put on their fingers, and they walk out married.
I debate that's highly unimportant. But
sure, but I'm just in general, talking about the act of a rite, right?
Yeah.
Something, you go through motions, you do certain things.
You have traditions.
You have traditions that do things, and then you come out the other side as something else, right?
Okay.
And so, same thing, we're just saying the same thing about baptism. Baptism is someone is going through the waters of baptism and they're coming out the other side to somewhere else, right? Mm-hmm. You cross the Jordan to come into the promised land. You cross the Red Sea, you're leaving Egypt to come somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right? So if we pull the curtains back more, that's in short baptism. We're just saying that baptism is taking you from this place to this place. We're taking our children from the kingdom of Satan, the kingdom of darkness, into the kingdom of God's beloved son.
But if you look at it like the old covenant where like, you had infant circumcision.
So
your children were in the covenant.
In the covenant
by birth.
Yeah. Well, so that's a perfect example. And that's another thing too, is with Presbyterians in general. That's what we're pulling from baptism a lot, is things like that. How is God treating children in the Old Testament or the Old Covenant, the old administration of the covenant, and the new? So you have, and I go to 1 Corinthians 10. This is probably my favorite passage in the entire Bible, right? I want to remind you, brothers and sisters, that our ancestors, right? Paul's talking to Gentiles. He's telling them, our ancestors, telling them that Israel is their ancestors. That's kind of cool, first off. He says, our ancestors were baptized into Moses, baptized in the sea, in the cloud and in the sea. All were baptized into Moses. All were baptized in this cloud and the sea, which would include the children. All ate the same spiritual food, all, including children, right? Mm-hmm. Babies, if they could eat. All drank the same spiritual drink, for they all drank from the rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. So you have Christ feeding children, circumcised babies, I would even say, right, who come to the point where they can drink, drinking spiritual drink. Jesus is doing this, right? It says the rock that followed, and that rock was Christ. So you have Christ feeding spirit. It's not just water. Paul calls it spiritual drink. There's something sacramental here, right? It is something that the faithful partake in, and and little children are getting to do that. So little children are receiving the covenant sign of circumcision. They're eating spiritual food and drinking spiritual drink. By all definitions, we would call that person a Christian, right? A Christian who they're living the life of faith.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone looking at a little 2-year-old Jewish person in ancient Israel would have said, well, that's a Jew. They worship Yahweh. That's who they are. And we still do that today. You see, if you see a Hindu family with little Hindu kids, and I say they're faithful Hindus, you say you have their Hindu children.
Yeah.
Do the same thing with Muslims. Those are Muslim children. But for whatever reason, we get to Christians, and we're like, well, the parents are Christians. The kids, maybe.
We'll they haven't said that little prayer yet.
They haven't said that exactly. They haven't said the little prayer yet. And so, anyways, the federal vision stuff can become a real big jumbled mess. But in essence, we're just trying to be. I'm not trying to say that people are inconsistent, because I'm inconsistent. But we're just trying to see, how does God treat children in the old covenant, and we're just making the safe assumption that He hasn't really changed it in the new covenant. And so it's like Jesus loved all these little children and fed them and gave them spiritual drink in the Old Testament, but now He will do nothing for them here until they say that little prayer. Mm-hmm. And it's like,
which isn't even in the Bible.
Which is not in the Bible at all. Now, obviously, people can argue like, well, I don't think infant baptism is in the Bible, but
where? I guess my question is, where does this end up with regards to a salvific issue?
For like the federal vision stuff, because the language, like I was talking about, how children being baptized are genuinely brought into the kingdom of God. We're used to that language of only Christians who have professed their faith and are living out a faithful life in Jesus. Those are the people who belong to the kingdom of God. And these Presbyterians, the guys who held to what became the federal vision, were I don't want to say take it a step further. I think they were just being consistent. If we're going to sit here and say, if someone is baptized, as Paul says, for those who have been baptized, they have put on Christ, right? If we're baptizing little infants, then they have put on Christ. Christ is their covenant head, right? They are in the new covenant. We're going to treat them as such. And for us, that's specific to our denomination. We practice paedo communion. We give infants bread and wine when they can eat. We don't like shove it down their throats. It's like a
one-way gold, like put it in there.
Yeah, put it in there. Yeah. So, some parents will do, they'll dip their finger in the wine and they'll let their babies, suck on it or whatever. But Jim Jordan, he's one of my favorite theologians, and he's kind of like a dude in our James B. Jordan. He's in our circles, but he has this famous line. He says, "When they can eat at home, they can eat at church," and that's so. But that probably was one of the big ticks with the federal vision, where a bunch of other Reformed denominations didn't like that we were giving children communion. Because, right, only Christians can take communion, right? They can't discern the body. They can't do the things that Paul tells them to do in 1 Corinthians 11. And we don't agree with that hermeneutic. And so we think that they're in the covenant, they're covenant children, just as God fed ancient Israelite children, His church of old, that He feeds His children in the new covenant.
Do you guys believe like in an age of accountability?
No, we don't believe in age of accountability. So here's a big, I'll put it this way. We used to be at a Baptist church when we were in New Mexico, and we've come back. We're going to be there in 2 weeks, and we go to visit our church when we're there. It's a Baptist church. We love them. Like I said, this isn't salvation issues for us, right? We can go be with them. But one of the guys there, he sees my daughters, and this isn't to be like my children are so holy, but he sees how my daughters act and live, and he sees the other kids in the church, so around the same age, and how they act and live. And he tries to pause, and he takes a step back, and he's all like, okay, we're in a Baptist church, and our children act this way. Rob is in a Presbyterian church, which obviously they baptize their kids when they were infants, and they act this certain way. And I'm not seeing why, because he's obviously a staunch Baptist. He says, I don't think your children are any more different than my children. Right? Yeah, he would say, I don't think your children are believers, or they are. They just haven't been baptized right away, or whatever his excuse is. But he asked me, he goes, "Hey man, what's going on here?" And I think the major difference, I told him this. I said, I think for a bunch of non-baby baptized, I don't want to say Baptist, non-infant baptizing Christians, they look at their children and they think, I need to evangelize my children. I need to preach the gospel to them so that they will believe. I got to get them saved. Where from our side, we're not evangelizing our children, we're discipling them. Okay? They've been baptized. They've been brought into the new covenant. We raise our children and teach them everything, right? You teach them what their name is. You teach them who mom is and who dad is.
This is what we believe.
This is what we believe. And so then your kids grow up, right, believing in Jesus. And the funny thing is, non-infant baptizing Christians who have children are still doing the same thing. They raise their kids, they make them do Christian things. You make your kids pray with you. You read the Bible to them. You get on to them when they sin.
Mhm.
You know, you need to ask your brother for forgiveness. You hit him or you stole his toy, whatever. To me, that seems a little inconsistent. If your children aren't Christians, why are you making them do Christian stuff? Now they are right to play devil's advocate. You can be like, well, this is part of the evangelizing. We're showing them what being a Christian is, and we want them to be a part of this and put their faith in Jesus. I get all that. For us, it's just, you belong to Jesus. You've been baptized in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You're a Christian now, and you live a certain way. And they get raised up into that. And I don't think there's anything inconsistent about that, because an ancient Israelite would have been taught the same thing.
Yeah.
A little Jewish boy would not have been told, like, you know, he's been circumcised, but like, but it's really up to you if you want to worship Yahweh or not.
No,
Yeah.
we'll stone you if you don't.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, no, that's funny.
Yeah. Well, that's how we grew up. I mean, like when I look back on, my dad was a pastor.
Yeah.
So I was raised in it. I don't really consider there was a point where I wasn't a Christian. Like I did
Yeah.
at a point, like said the sinner's prayer at 12 when
Sure.
I got scared of demons for some reason or another. But I wasn't like, or hell or whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't consider myself not a Christian really at any point in my life.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, there's some people, I think we've created a culture, especially where we're post first and second awakening here in America, right? To get historical about it, where we have this idea that like, you have to have some kind of testimony. Yeah, there has to be some story and baggage behind you as to what led you to being a Christian, so that when people who are like in your situation, not even infant baptized, right? You got baptized at 12 or whatever, but they want your testimony. You grew up in a Christian home. You grew up with a Christian father and mother who loved you and read the Bible to you and all this stuff. And yeah, as far back as you can remember, like, Jesus has always been Lord. That's what I've been taught my entire life.
This is what we believe.
But then there are people who look at you and be like, I don't know if you're saved, man. Like, you haven't had this aha moment. You're like, so I feel like that we need to separate this kind of, we need this experience to happen. Where if it seems, when we look at the Bible, like I said, from Genesis on, there seems to be, the norm happens to be not this like, God saves people out of crazy, wretched states. Now, he does that. That's what he did for me. I was a little punk 18-year-old, loved porn and girls, and God saved me and took me out of that. And I loved all that stuff one day. And then I loved Jesus. I still kind of love that stuff too. And that had to be discipled out of me. But I think the norm, more often than not, as we just see it by nature itself, is that God creates families, and families to raise up, and you raise your children in the fear and paideia of the Lord. Right, the fear and admonition, the paideia being instruction, right? You raise them what it means to be a citizen of whatever world they live in. So you raise your children as citizens of heaven. And that's the way you treat them. So that's just what we do. That's what we don't presume. We think like, just because my kids are baptized, they're saved and they're going to go to heaven. We're discipling them. But like I said, in other words, some people look at like, when they show me that they're a Christian, then I'll believe it. Where for our side, it's almost like, show me that you're not a Christian, and then I'll believe you're not a Christian.
Well,
right?
Children are not the best at choosing prudent ways and finding a good way in life. They have to be taught. I mean,
exactly.
Because I had a joke for a long time. I haven't said it really talked about it for a while, but like, they're not human. Like I look at my kids, the 2-year, like they're not human. They're not civilized human beings yet. You have to make them into that. And they're not going to get there on their own.
No.
If you leave them out in the woods,
we're going to die.
You're not going to get a human.
Yeah.
If they survive, the wolves raise them. You're not getting it's not going to be Mowgli. You're not getting a human out of this.
Mowgli. Such a good movie, man.
So it was a good movie.
Which one, the original or the remake?
I didn't see the remake. Well, which remake? Because there was
the Disney remake where Bill Murray is Baloo.
Okay, no. Do you remember the other remake? It was like
the one with Idris Elba played Shere Khan.
Was that who played the voice of Shere Khan?
Andy Serkis directed.
No, did they have voices in the remake? I thought it was like they tried making it like really real. So it was like
you're talking about the '94 remake.
Yeah,
with,
like Mowgli was like all grown up.
Sam Neill and John Cleese is in that one too. Yeah, we watched that a bunch when we were kids. Yeah, that's a different one. I haven't watched that in ages.
Like that last picture.
We should watch that with the kids. So the one with the CGI.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen this.
Is
yeah, that one. That's the one I remember.
Yeah, and then they had in the 2016 one that guy who directed Elf and Iron Man, Jon Favreau. Christopher Walken played King Louis. That was pretty cool. That was the best part of the movie.
That's pretty awesome.
Although when he sang the song though, it wasn't quite like the original.
No.
Yeah. What does he say in the cartoon? He says, "Don't trick me, man cub. I made a deal with you. I want to get that fire." So good, man.
But yeah, no, I do agree with that philosophy of like you raise them as if they are Christians, and I mean,
they may walk away from it.
They are Christians, but that's their choice when they come to it.
And that's the thing, Joe. We're not taking away choice, right? Like there's a part. Obviously, there comes a point where like they're assuming the faith that's theirs, but I mean, that's for us. That's not them becoming Christians. That's just them maturing in their faith. There comes a point where it's like, this is what my mom and dad taught me, but now it's mine. Like,
is it like a singular event where you were one thing and now you're another thing, or is it a journey?
I think, yeah, I see
it in its own way.
I think it's a journey. Yeah, it's both.
All of life is a journey. And treating it like, you're just miraculously a Christian. Every part of you is supposed to be changed now and purified into Christ, and all of your bad habits and addictions are gone.
Yeah, not true.
No.
Not true. I know that for sure, man. Like, yeah, exactly. It's a journey. And what's a blessing for our children is that, like, yeah, that journey begins a lot sooner than maybe it began for, at least for me. Yeah, like I said, like I told you guys, I grew up in a drug.
Well, they have a foundation.
They have a foundation. They really do. And it's really cool, man. Like I said, I'm not trying to be like totally like my kids are so awesome, but Paul says that talking about, man, I think it's in 1 Corinthians 7. I forget where it's at, but he says your children are holy, right? And the word the hagios, it's the same word that's used for saints, right? That's what we say. Paul says your children are saints. Now, right? And that takes some rewiring in our brain because we typically think that like it's just us, right?
It does depend on what denomination you kind of grew up in, where you're coming from. Because like we were always, so Mosaic's non-denominational.
Yeah.
Which is apparently now its own denomination. Non-denominationalism is
much, yeah.
We grew up like I would say proper non-denominational, where it's like we just follow what's in the Bible and we don't like our interpretation of the Bible. And all this other church tradition stuff, we kind of like, let's set this over here if it doesn't belong in the Bible.
Yeah.
So where was I going?
Yeah, but your dad still believes some.
Oh, I know that.
I was going to ask about that.
I understand.
I saw you talking when Steven's thing. I probably watched y'all's podcast with Steven like 3 times just to prepare myself. Like I want to know you guys. Like,
you don't have to prepare for this podcast.
I want to have a fun time. I don't want to be like, I don't know you people. This is weird. And but like you talk about your.
How do you think we feel?
Yeah,
we didn't get to watch 3 episodes of you.
You did.
You walked in here.
You didn't. Ask me whatever you want, man. No, like you said your dad's like an Anabaptist. Like, does he?
No. He's not Anabaptist.
He's not Anabaptist.
My brother's church where he goes to is Anabaptist.
Oh, okay, got you. Okay,
yeah.
But I wanted to answer y'all's question on that because you guys were like, what does it mean to be a radical Reformation? And you were right. It's what made it a radical Reformation was during the Reformation when it happened. There's kind of 2 sides of it. There was what we call the magisterial Reformation. Which it was the Reformation happening within the Catholic Church itself, where you had like John Calvin, Luther, Zwingli, all these guys were Catholic priests, John Knox, who had been convinced of Reformed theology and were reforming from within, right? So it was a magisterial kind of Reformation. It was keeping those things together. The Anabaptists were the radical ones. They're the ones saying, chuck it all out. Like we need to start everything over.
Is in Catholicism.
Yeah, get rid of it. If it looks or smells like anything Catholicism, get rid of it. And that would include like infant baptism. And it was seen as radical because the church and state were very much united, which you said you don't agree with that. I think we need to get back to that. But nonetheless, so think about
we'll get back to what?
I hold our denomination kind of in general holds to at least some kind of form of theonomy. Like a post-millennial, we think the world's becoming more Christian and things are going.
We are post-millennial right now.
You are
what are you?
We are like our church.
Yeah.
We hold to post-millennialism, right? So
okay.
It's our eschatology. So we think the world is actually becoming more and more Christian.
So we're after the millennial reign.
We think we're in the millennial reign right now.
In it,
there are some post-millennials that will say like, this is like the first fruits of it. Like we're kind of getting there, and then it will kind of start at some point. Like we'll get to this Christian utopia. I kind of think we're in it right now, and it's like I said, it's kind of like the wheat and the tares, right? Yeah. All the stuff is growing, and a day of reaping is going to come where we need to separate the wheat and the tares. But nonetheless, the kingdom is growing. It's a big tree, right? Jesus said it's like a tree. Its branches grow up, and all the birds sit in it. Birds typically are symbolic of Gentile powers. So we're post-millennial, and so with that, if we think the world's if people are becoming more and more Christian as time goes on, obviously that means things around it are going to become more Christian, right? If we're in a room with 100 people and there's only one Christian in there, that room is going to sway a certain way as far as it thinks culturally. But as that person begins to preach the gospel, and then 2 or 3 people became Christians, still overwhelmed. But if let's just say we get to half the room is now Christian, half the other room is not Christian. the dynamic has shifted and changed. So it's just like necessary consequence. If we think the world is becoming more and more Christian, then we want to see that in our laws. We want to see that in our rulers, whoever they be. We want them to be good Christian rulers, and we want good Christian laws. Paul says that the law is good. So if we took what the law of the Old Testament, call it the Mosaic law, call it whatever you want, not literally as it is, because obviously we don't have houses with pitched fences on top, that kind of thing, but right, the necessary consequences of the law. If those were the laws of our land, whether you were Christian or not, it would be a good society to live in, because Paul calls the law good. It's a good thing. God didn't give these strange arbitrary laws. He did it for the good of his people and for the good of the world, right? Mm-hmm. Israel was to be a kingdom of priests, right? A witness, a light to the nations around them. So the nations would come and worship Yahweh, that they would flood to Jerusalem to worship. We are heavenly Jerusalem now, right? We're the bride that's come out of the sky, right? We are the church. We are the light of the world, as Jesus says. And so we want to live in such a way, and we want to be such an impact of the kingdom of such a way that it does begin to get into the culture, get into everything. It becomes it's a better world. I mean, just in general, I'm telling you, like, I live here in Nacogdoches. Nacogdoches is not a Christian theonomic society by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely it's holding on to whatever Christian roots it did have from 100 years ago, a lot better than New Mexico's doing. I promise you, New Mexico, this place is a lot more Christian looking than New Mexico does. And I love that mural that's over there, like a town founded on faith. I love it, man. And I'm saying, I want us to be doing that more. Now we have to get our priorities straight, because if we think the first thing we need to do is we need to take over the government, and we all need to apply for like mayors and councils and all that stuff, we're working backwards. It starts from the home,
family,
the family. Yeah, exactly. Let's raise good, godly Christian children, right? Who grow up who are going to grow up and marry godly children. They're going to have more children, right? Let it multiply.
But that's the thing that's the most under attack by society is the family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the enemy knows that.
Mm-hmm. And that's why, like I don't know if you guys like homeschool or do like Christian schooling, but you see it. You see it going in the schools, transgenderism, even though I think that's way on the down now, which just proved that it was just a fad. But nonetheless, the enemy, the spiritual forces of darkness, know that, and they get into the places where if we get the kids, we've got everything. Mm-hmm. And so, anyways.
So what does separation of church and state mean to you?
I think what the founders meant by that was they did not want a federal church. So think of like England, right? England has the Church of England, the Anglican Church, the Church of England.
So you're under the impression that all the founding fathers were Christians? Absolutely
not. No, they were. I think more were Christian than not. I don't think all of them were deists. But nonetheless, when it comes to the separation of church and state, I think because what we think that means now is not even what was happening when that phrase was being coined. Right.
Agreed.
Each of the colonies had their own state church, right? Rhode Island was a Baptist, Maryland was Catholic.
Yeah.
Most were Presbyterian in the north, and the south were all Episcopalian, Anglican. And so the founding fathers had no issue with that. They got if the state of Texas decided that it wanted the church of whatever, the Texas Church of whatever, I think it would have the ability to do that. I maybe be a little harder now because we've allowed the rhetoric of no church or separation of church and state. Say that, but pretty much what I think the fathers wanted, they didn't want a federal level church because they saw that we have a growing nation of different denominations. Right, we want freedom of religion. We can't if we decide that the Church of the United States is going to be Episcopal. Well, that's going to be a big problem for Rhode Island or for Maryland. Mm-hmm. Right, that's a Baptist colony, and that's a Catholic colony. We're gonna have uprising.
We're gonna divide the country.
Yeah, exactly.
Have the same problems that we had before in England.
Exactly, and so that's that we're not gonna have a Church of the United States. That's not what we wanted, and so I think that's what they went to. But at the same time, when we think of a church and state, they do serve different functions. Paul says that the state is the sword wielder, right? God created the state, the government, whatever it be, whether it be a monarchy, a constitutional republic, a Christian republic, like in, I don't think it's Uganda. I forget.
Well, I don't think in the Bible, I don't think you can find anywhere in the New Covenant where the church has the right to execute judgment.
And no, they don't. But they don't. Yeah, they are not the wielder of the sword.
Yeah.
Right. But we need to be the prophetic voice that speaks to the sword. Right. We need to be the one telling the government this is the way it should be.
Yeah.
This is how this is the world that God created. Right. The gospel message, which is Christ is Kurios, Christ is Lord. He is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. We as the church can say to our governor or to the mayor of Nacogdoches saying, Jesus is king. this is how Nacogdoches should look. And we shouldn't be ashamed to say that kind of thing. Like I said, we're not going to be the one to push it and implement it. We want to be the prophetic voice saying, this is what you should do. And by God's Spirit, right? He's the only God who's going to be able to do it. They will move in that certain way, And I think this is where I think, right? You guys remember during 2020, like probably 2022, 2023. I mean, it almost felt like we hit a fever pitch. I mean, it was absolutely insane with the BLM, the transgender stuff. I mean, it really hit like its peak in 2023. And I genuinely believe one of the reasons, I mean, there are a lot of reasons. Excuse me. One of the main reasons, I'm just burping in your mic. One of the main reasons was because the church was not that prophetic voice. Instead of the state listening to us saying, do this or don't do that, we flipped it around. We let the state tell us what we were going to do. You can only worship, this so many people can worship at your church, or you can't worship at all. And I think because we capitulated that and didn't do anything about it, I think that allowed the world to kind of get a little more rampant and out of control as it did. It also couldn't get fully out of control because Jesus says that we are the salt and light of the world. Think about that for a second. The church is salt and light. If the church did not exist, or if the church just stopped being the church, when something's not salted, by which preservation, no salt, what's going to happen? Decay, right? Everything's going to be gross. If the church didn't exist, or without being the church, no light, darkness. I don't know what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? So the church, obviously the world didn't like fall out. It held on to something. But I think we could have, I don't want to say controlled, but I think the world could have looked a little different if the church actually just stood up and was actually, the church actually was the body of King Jesus. But I'm a Calvinist, so coulda, shoulda, woulda doesn't really matter. It happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen. And so,
I mean, I do think, for lack of a better term, we should be a lot more formidable.
Yeah.
Of a force.
What did in Acts? What did the Pharisees say about the apostles? He says they're flipping the world upside down, like that.
But by changing people toward being better.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like if you become a Christian, typically you become a better person.
You should.
Yeah, typically you probably didn't become a Christian if you didn't.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But like, what was happening? Because that was happening. I think when Ephesus, when the Ephesians were becoming Christians, and what were they doing? They were burning all their idol books. They had a big, huge commerce on selling. I forget what goddess that they worshipped, but they got rid of all that stuff. Right. The culture that individuals became Christian. Individuals, I would say households with their babies, became Christian homes and Christian people, and that affected their culture because now it's like, oh, I literally made all my money selling Aphrodite statue or whatever the goddess was.
I think it was Athena.
Was Athena? Whoever it was. We don't sell those anymore. So now it's like economically, Ephesus has changed because everyone's Christian. Everyone's becoming Christians now. The world, right? It's an inescapable consequence when people become Christians. The landscape changes around you, and it should in theory change for the better. So.
All of Western culture is built on Christian values.
People hate when you say that, man.
Yeah, but it's true. Like even all of our laws, everything in Western culture is built around that.
Disagree.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I'm kind of a little bit on your side. I'm at SFA right now.
Take out a $1 bill. Tell me what you see.
That's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about our value structure and our morals that are considered broadly good up until more recent times where there's been a big entertainment.
And I'm thinking that
culture.
They've been hijacked. And once again, I'm probably going to fall more on the pessimistic side of this argument with regards to
the conspiracy theory side.
The current.
Ooh, we got to talk about conspiracy theories, man, because I love them.
The current state of the government, the future of this government or this value system in this world.
Define value system. Like what I'm talking about.
You're the one who brought it up.
What I'm talking about is like the morality of the West is based on the flow of Christianity after basically Rome became a Catholic nation, flowing out everywhere. That is the source of like common law morality.
Sure.
That the West holds.
Like
arguing it's not biblical in nature, I don't think works.
Sure.
I love it. I think of like Germans when they were like worshiping like Norse gods and all that kind of stuff. Like I just picture like Christian like monks like rolling in and seeing them doing weird like stuff like drinking their own pee, and they said, "No more of that. We're not, Jesus is king of this place now. We don't do that anymore." And they're like,
now,
Now we probably killed a lot of people.
I will say the Catholics did. Catholics came in and killed a lot of people. They killed a lot of Christians too. I think Catholics have killed more Christians than anyone else almost.
They have. But see, that's a little like ahistorical to like say like you said, like when Rome became Catholic. Catholic, as we define it today, didn't really happen until like the Second Council of Trent.
Yes,
like I see what you mean.
The misnomer, but I get
what you're saying though.
Yeah,
but to join your side, I do think. I don't want to say that America was founded as a Christian nation. I don't think that at all. I really don't. I think it was founded as a post-Enlightenment society, right? Based off ideas like of Thomas Paine and the French Revolution. I think a lot of those kind of political ideas. I think that's the country was shaped more like that. But the ethical undergirding of that was Christian. I think.
Well, they were largely all Christians.
Yeah, it was Christians who were
country.
Exactly. It was
a bunch of Christians. All the founding fathers weren't Christian. It was still. I mean, what percentage of the population was Christian? Probably 95%, 98%?
Yeah. No, they weren't the best Christians.
Of European settlers?
There weren't no Muslims, I'll tell you that.
You're looking at me with a very disagreeing smile over there.
Oh, I could just go down another rabbit hole.
I'm not saying that there haven't been bad actors through time just messing everything up.
Yeah.
But I do think that, like, God raises up nations, he brings them down, and there's been a general flow that's being pushed by him through time.
Yeah, I can get behind that. But like I said, I genuinely don't. I think our nation was not as Christian as I think some people want to believe that it was.
No, not in like the patriotic sense. Like we're
patriotic
Christian.
Yeah,
and doesn't read their Bible at all. Type of.
Yeah, it's like I don't think that's what we're going with. But I will say this.
I think the 1920s and the practicing of seances definitely will show a different type of history. I don't think that the history that you believe actually happened.
What history do I believe? We jumped.
So
we jumped to the 1920s there.
I think we're really getting into the conspiracy theories now. So you kind of have like the post-war consensus kind of theories.
So I'm leaning more towards the corruption of the Catholic Church with regards to potential for, an Antichrist point of view with regards to Rome never really fell and is still extended into what we call America, London.
Oh, like this, like we are part of the Roman.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about nations and governments and powers.
You're talking about value systems.
The value system, the broad morality of the people, and how. Because once you it doesn't matter how. Say Rome's running everything, and they've been doing it for 2,000 years. It doesn't matter, what the morals they want to implement. If there's a large enough group of people inside their populace who's like, no, we're going this direction, they're gonna have to bow or they're gonna get crushed and get thrown out of power. So in order for them to maintain power, they have to flow with the morals of the people. Does that make sense? They have to capitulate on some level. They can't you don't have that level of control. So I believe that there's a lot more stupidity than there is intelligent design inside governments.
and I would completely disagree because I know and believe in the spiritual world with regards to principalities and deities that are still at work.
But that's
to influence,
not the people,
but still can influence governmental structures and values.
Sure, but that's different.
Is it?
I think it's different from what I'm saying because I'm putting the blame on the people. You're putting it sounds like putting the blame on entities.
This is where I think we're like being post-millennial. This is where we'll rub up against each other because we believe that Jesus has bound Satan, and so we think all these forces have been bound. All the evil forces bound in the sense of you're talking about deception stuff. They're the deceiving of the nations. We believe that at Christ's ultimately his resurrection and ascension, right, his enthronement as the Son of God, that was Satan being bound to not be able to deceive the nations. And so there's part of that where I think there's a little bit of
so following that same line though.
Sure.
So there is no.
I think there's influence. Put it this way, if Jesus, Psalm 110, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. And then Paul expounds on that, saying that he must reign, Jesus, until he has subjected every enemy under his footstool. The last enemy being death, right? And then that's when the final judgment, resurrection. What we hold to, or I'll just say this is what I hold to. Everything bad that we see in the world right now, right? Because I said postmillennialism doesn't mean nothing bad is ever going to happen. Obviously, look at the last couple of years, crazy. But what we see that as is that not that the enemy is winning or deceiving the nations. We see it as Jesus is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He is crushing all. He is actively in this moment crushing all of the enemies of the church, any of his enemies, and all the things we're seeing is like an animal being pinned in a corner, right? An enemy is being pinned in the corner, and it's not going to go down without a fight. Jesus has whatever enemy it is, whether it be secularism, transgenderism, porn, abortion, even corrupt governments and societies.
Yeah, but
Jesus has it in a corner, and he's going to kill it, and it will do everything it can to get out of the corner. And I think what we're seeing is just the lash outs of that. That's what I think we're seeing.
Yeah, but if our value systems were founded on this side to the new land, were founded as Amos is claiming, then why would there?
Well, I didn't say founded.
Well, I mean entrenched.
I mean, like
entrenched.
It starts at the home, like we said, and if you have the majority of people in the nation have those homes, the morality is going to flow from there. And I think that's been flowing basically since Christianity more or less took over the West. Those moral structures have been in place by virtue of the large majority of the population believe them, not by being imposed by government law.
I mean, I think in short, the world is more Christian today than it was 1,000 years ago or 1,500 years ago, right? Like I said, talking about using Germany, for example, literally since Christ,
Are we just saying?
No, I was saying like, no, I'm just saying, no, just in general, like, Christ ascended into heaven, the church begins to spread out. And sometimes it's spread out through persecution, right? They're being killed in Jerusalem. Now we have spread out. Now we're going all over the world. Mm-hmm. Bible's over now. The gospel message is still going on. The gospel's being spread. People are being killed, right? Those are bad things. Christians are being killed. How in the world can you be post-millennial? Well, that's what I'm saying. Everywhere where the gospel has gone, eventually, I mean, like I said, it's still happening actively now, but looking in the past, people do not worship Thor anymore. Yes, there are weirdos out there who are like, who do, but like, no one worships Egyptian gods anymore.
I would disagree.
You know, okay.
Not on any like.
Not in a huge, like I said, as well. He doesn't agree.
Or do you think they've just swapped that?
They're hiding out.
But they were in another form.
In another form.
Okay.
Is that what you're saying you'd believe?
No, I'm saying that yes, they're
like it's not a mainstream religion.
What? Can we name all the mainstream religions?
Christianity, Islam, Hinduism,
Judaism, which I would say Judaism.
Even Judaism is still really small, though.
It is, but I would say
there's not a billion.
Judaism and Islam. I would say this is gonna be a hot take. These are just Christian heresies. I personally think. So these are people who live in reaction to. Right?
I mean, as Christians, we would have to say that
we have to. It is
they are Abrahamic religions. There's 3 Abrahamic religions. We believe Christianity is the correct.
It's the correct.
Therefore, the other ones have to be heresies.
Yeah, they have to be. They're the wrong ones. But I'm saying because they have to deal with a resurrected and ascended Jesus now. They have to do something with him. He's unavoidable, which is I think even more metal to his rule and reign. That even people who hate him have to do something with
heavy metal,
like heavy metal. Like no, I think it's like they can't ignore him. So what do the Jews say? Oh, he's just the bastard son of Mary and some Gentile, and he's burning in poop forever. And the Muslims are like, oh no, we love him, but he's definitely not the son of God, and he's definitely not God. And he didn't die on a cross. It's like it's unavoidable. They have to do something with him.
But it's still like those religions encompass what percentage? I mean, you have Hinduism and Buddhism are the only other 2 that really come close to competing.
I think
Islam is pretty.
I think if you were,
well, I mean, if you lump the Abrahamics together,
oh sure, okay.
And say the other ones are,
oh gotcha,
yeah,
I see what you're saying.
I think if you were to travel the world in 2025, Europe specifically, if you were to go to the Netherlands, you would find a very, very different approach with regards to Christianity.
Oh, I'm not saying that it hasn't been degraded in the West.
Midsummer. Have you seen that movie?
I'm not saying that Christianity hasn't been degraded in the West.
I'm not saying it's being degraded. I'm saying in order for me to wrap my head around. No, I don't know exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that for you to make the statement that they're not these other people that are still worshiping ancient Egyptian gods or whatever the case may be, or ancient Roman pagan gods, whatever the case may be. I think they're definitely.
Well, they're around. It's not, I mean, there's Wiccans, there's different things, but it's not mainstream. When we say like you have a large enough population to control things by force, which if Christians chose to do so, it wouldn't be a problem. Because we have enough numbers.
But I also would,
taking out the flag.
I probably would also line up on the sense though that most people that claim to be Christians are not Christians.
Okay, go define that.
That they are believing a watered down version of the gospel and are kidding themselves.
So that makes them not Christians?
No, I'm just saying like
Christians.
Christians.
I mean, again, where's the salvation line?
Once again, where is that salvation line?
So that is tough, right?
Can you lose your salvation?
No, but
that's not the question.
But that's
like,
a real,
because the watered down Christians would have never been Christians to start with. Under that, like if you say they're not really Christians, they're just watered down Christians. They don't have salvation. If that's what you're saying, then they were never there to start with.
Well, they're not living like Christians. So what does that tell you?
But yeah, so that this is legit for a question. This is talking about bringing back to the federal vision for a quick second, but like that a lot of talks of faithfulness and obedience. The federal vision guys got a lot of slack for that because then it sounded like we were saying like, oh, so you're saying you're saved by works, so you're saved by like but now take this conversation like like where is the line? Because a Christian can say believe all the right things, right? They can recite the Nicene Creed to you, right? That's Orthodox Christianity. But yeah, if they live like hell, it's like, well, you're not a Christian. Well, what I believe, I have faith. Like, it.
Jesus did say, if you love me,
you will keep my commandments. I agree that. But I'm saying like we in here, modern Western evangelicalism have toted faith alone, grace alone, which is true. Amen. Like you're justified by faith alone. But we've done that almost to the chagrin of like, now we don't know what to do when we have Christians living like demons. And it's like, our professed Christian living demons is like, well, they say they live by faith. And it's like, yeah, you'll keep my commandments. All up to say is talking about Christians and works is unavoidable. The conversation is going to happen.
I don't know. The problem is like, why do we have to jump to the conclusion that if you include works at all, that means that's what's saving you?
Right.
It's like faith without works is dead.
Fact. Yeah. The faith you have, if it's not a living faith, then it's not faith. It doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people can't wrap their head around that. They're like, what? No. And the Catholics think we don't understand that. And they're like, faith without works is dead. So you have to have works. But like, you don't know what you're talking about.
I think you also have to define what works are too.
Right. Yeah.
Because the modern church would define works, keeping the law as works.
Sure.
And technically it's not.
Or
because most of the law, like 10 Commandments, is all negative law. You're not doing something.
Right. It's
failing to murder someone is not a work.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, there's the opposite of having to love your neighbor as yourself. And so there's a sense of like, if I don't murder, hate my brother, I'm actively choosing not to do that. So maybe that's a work. I don't know. But or flip side, people think the Christian works is the magical 11th commandment, thou shalt be nice. If you're just nice to everybody, like, I'm great.
Right. You know what the definition of the word nice is, right?
I don't. What is it?
Oh, a nice guys finish last kind of thing. Like you're just a nice, weak person who can't really hold your own, or nice people get crushed. They don't make for a strong society.
No, they don't.
They don't.
Society.
You know what makes a strong society? Christians being killed. That makes a strong society.
Well, civilization is created by good men willing to commit violent acts.
So what you're saying is we need another crusade.
Not saying, no, I did not say that. I'm just saying that like when you see a bad thing happen, you don't just like be a nice guy.
All right.
And you only got so many cheeks to turn. Jesus only told you to turn it twice.
I've got 4 of them.
Yeah.
Who do we want to piss off next?
Well, we started going on conspiracy theories. I'm totally down to.
Well, I don't know. With a post millennial, I don't know where I can go.
So preterism.
Oh, sure, okay. I'm a preterist. I'm not a full preterist. I think that's genuinely heretical. Like full preterists are people who are saying that Jesus.
We're on the new heaven and new earth right now. New Jerusalem's come down, and
I would say yes, in a sense, right?
Well, New Jerusalem doesn't come until after the short season, the devil's loose. After
the little season,
little season.
So
after the millennium.
How is the New Jerusalem in Revelation 21 described? A bride coming down out of heaven, adorned for her husband. Tom, we're doing a Bible study. What what is the word bride used for throughout the New Testament? To refer to who? The church, right? We are the bride of Christ. So I do think Revelation 21, the whole, I looked up and I saw the heavens open. I saw the heavenly Jerusalem coming down, a bride adorned for her husband. Mm-hmm. I think that's the church.
So how's that not full preterism?
No, because I think Jesus is still coming back. Full preterism would deny the second coming of Jesus. Or, sorry, it wouldn't deny the second coming. It would say the second coming of Jesus happened in some weird way in AD 70 when the temple was destroyed.
On the new heaven and new earth. Everything's set the way it's going to be for eternity.
No. It's like you talk about like a journey. I believe we're in a sense where it's like that alt-right, our Christian language, the already not yet. We already are in the new heavens and new earth, but we're also not in the new heavens and new earth. Like we're going there. That's like I said, the postmillennial hope. It is becoming more and more so, and it is the work of Christians that are going to make it more so. And the Christians doing it's going to be God's work through His Spirit, through His church doing that. And so, but yeah, no, I do not think we are in the final state, but I think it has at least begun. Right, but the final 21. I think Revelation 21 it was in the past. I think Revelation in general. This is gonna get like this is gonna be like against the Jews or whatever, but that seems to be a hot topic right now, anyways. Well, no, I think Revelation of all the many things it is. I think one of the main points is that it is a polemic against the Jews of that time. I think Acts has happened, right? The 40-year period between Christ's ascension to heaven and the destruction of the temple. That's 40-year period. Who is the main persecutor of the church? It's not Romans. It's not Roman soldiers. It's not the Gentile world. Mm-hmm. It's the Jews, right? And I'm not saying the Jews like the Jews. I'm just saying in general. That's what it is. It is God's people who have not accepted Christ as the Messiah.
Christianity was overturning.
Christianity
the old covenant.
I wouldn't say overturning. It was the fulfillment of the old covenant. It's like this is what we're supposed to be.
What I'm saying is the Christians, they were converting more Christians, and it was basically flipping the table.
It was turning the world upside down.
Covenant.
Yeah, the old covenant, and that's I think the whole point of Revelation. You're seeing some people call it like the divorce of Israel. I don't like that language, but what it is showing that the people who have not, the Jews who have not come to Christ in faith, Revelation is against them. It's telling them Jerusalem is going to be destroyed and there's going to be a new Jerusalem. And guess what? This new Jerusalem has come. It's a bride adorned for her husband. You are destroyed. You are gone. You have killed the Messiah. You've denied the Messiah. I have a new Jerusalem and it is my church, the bride. Now, I want to be careful because that becomes like replacement theology stuff. And I don't think the church replaced Israel. I think the church is Israel.
Define replacement theology.
Replacement theology, there are people who will accuse us of replacement, that God literally just replaced all the Jews with Christians, like the church. Like the church is the new people of God. The Jews were the old people of God. I don't believe that. And any reformed postmillennial would not agree. Well,
it says we've been grafted in.
They've been engrafted in, right? We are more, us three in this room are more Israel than those people over there in the Middle East. Those people kissing a wall over there, wearing their yarmulkes, and
You mean the ones following Judaism?
I think you and I are more. Let's see. I don't think they're following the law like it's supposed to. Like I said, Judaism today is I think a Christian heresy. I think Judaism, rabbinical Judaism, exists and looks the way it does today because of Christianity. Christianity is on the scene now. Jesus has lived, died, raised, and ascended into heaven, and now the Jews have to do something with that. And so now you have a whole new tradition of rabbinical Judaism that now exists. It is a Judaism that has a gospel that says Jesus is not Messiah, and now its whole life looks like that. So as I say, when we see Jews today and what they look like, I promise you, I would put money on it that is not what Jews looked like in Jesus' day, nor anywhere in the Old Testament. That is not what Israelites looked like. The Israelites and Jewish we see, but I'm saying, but even the acts, the things they do, their whole rabbinical tradition, Talmudic tradition, non-existent. If anything, it was in its like proto form with Pharisees and the Sadducees and all that kind of stuff. But that is not what, like I said, I think we are more Israelite than, like, we are more what God's people look like than what they look like over there. That's what I think. But obviously that comes from a non-dispensational, non-premillennial kind of standpoint, right? That's obviously comes from a very specific hermeneutic. But I think it doesn't help to look at the Jews, whether here or Israel, wherever it is, and to say those are God's people, but we're also God's. It's a very strange thing. God does not have two people. He's always had one people, or to use your language from Romans, right? One tree that people are grafted onto. All those Jews we see over there with all this stuff they do. I don't want to make it sound like I'm being anti-Semitic, but people are going to say that I sound that way. I'm not being anti-Semitic. I'm saying they're not God's people.
Well, like as a Christian, if you haven't accepted Christ, you're not God's people.
You're not exactly.
Like
that's all it is.
That's the line.
The defining
it has absolutely
line.
nothing to do with race, culture.
Exactly.
Anyways.
What grafts you onto the tree is faith in Christ.
Yeah.
They did not. They've been broken off of the tree.
Yeah. If they choose not to accept Christ, then they get pruned.
Yeah, exactly. They get pruned. Jesus says, I break you off and throw you into the fire. Right now he does. Now Paul gets a little weird with it because Paul said, with that using the tree analogy, he says, now listen to you Christians who have been, you unnatural branches that have been grafted onto the tree. Don't be haughty. He says, if the natural branches are broken off, they can be put back on. Or if they were broken off, you can be broken off. Mm-hmm. Now that gets really squirrely for people who don't believe you can lose your salvation. You need to be able to flesh that out. I don't think the people who get broken, Christians who get broken off this tree, I don't think they lost salvation in the sense like what you think it, like they had the Spirit, they were God's elect, and then they somehow didn't become that. It's not that. They were on the tree for a while, showed fruit, showed that they looked like they were right. They looked like a tree branch. They looked like a Christian, but through disbelief and apostasy, they got broken off, just like Israel did. Mm. And they can just as much through repentance be grafted right back onto that tree. So. See, it's hard. All this theological language needs to be like you have to give qualifications, all that kind of stuff, because someone will listen to this and be like, "Man, that guy thinks you can lose your salvation. He thinks baptism saves you, and he hates Jews." It's like I don't. It's just we have to be able to talk about these things and talk about them in the right categories. And like I said, with qualifications, I'm not anti-Semitic, but I think that the phrase being anti-Semitic or being racist and all that kind of stuff, I think that's just a weapon that's thrown out there to make you not talk about anything.
Of course.
So what got you so deep into this? Because like your average Christian on the street
doesn't talk about this.
Doesn't say the word hermeneutics, nor even know what it means.
Well, like I said, I mean, I wanted to go. I do still want to go into pastoral ministry. Maybe it won't be pastoral ministry, whatever it is. But I do. I love God's word. I love God's people. I love the lost world. I don't know if Stephen told you, but we went to the No Kings protest, and we held signs, and I had a big giant sign. I could have said a lot of things. I could have said something like derogatory, called them losers or idiots.
What was the No Kings protest?
There was one. It was a couple of weeks ago.
Was it here?
It was here. Yeah, it was right across the street, or over there, across the street at right at the
I don't even know what
at the courthouse.
Yeah, this is a movement that essentially
they're saying they think
that
Trump is king.
Trump is claiming to be king.
And so they're like, no king.
We have no claiming king? Trump is king?
The left is claiming that we claim that Trump is king, or Trump claims that he's king. So they created these no king protests.
It comes out of, ever since he's been elected, he's just constantly poking at him with.
I think they need
different. What's the next election cycle?
2028.
2028. Trump 2028 hats.
Yeah, he's poking fun, but that's just not going to happen.
Right. Like they legit think it's real.
It's not going to be accepted by the side that elected him. It won't be accepted if he tries to run again. It's not happening.
No.
Okay.
Well, anyways, there was a protest. And
I don't believe for a second. I would put a lot of money that Trump would not win a 2028 election.
He can't, right? That's
legally he cannot.
Legally, yeah.
Now there's people who say, if it's non-consecutive terms, you can have 3 if they're non-consecutive. I don't know that's valid or not.
I don't know. I think you need a government,
but it would still be consecutive right now.
You need a government first.
You do. I would like the government to. Yeah, I would like the government to exist right now. But anyways, there was a No Kings protest across the street.
So you were protesting the protest.
We were. Yeah, that's what we literally. And I have the speech. It was like a 3-minute talk, whatever. And it sounded crazy because I tried so hard to not sound like a street preacher, like yelling, hooting, and hollering, but they were so loud and cars were driving by and honking. So I had to raise my voice to talk to them, and it came across very like street preachy. But all I'd say, I didn't have a sign that was poking fun at them or this is that. Like this, that was something my wife took right there. But I just had a sign that said come and welcome to Jesus Christ. And that comes from John Bunyan, who wrote The Pilgrim's Progress. He wrote a book called Come and Welcome to Jesus Christ. It's a really cool book. Really small. Anyways, but that's just my heart. I genuinely do love God's people, and I love people who don't believe in Jesus and who hate him and will not submit and will not bow their knee in allegiance to him. So, but my call for them is I'm not gonna be a butthole.
But Stephen said multiple times that I'm new to all this, but this is what I think we believe.
Sure.
Or this is what we believe. That
I'm locked in. But I'm locked in.
Yeah, you're locked in there. We got the expert. Your church post millennial, you believe that once the whole world's saved, Jesus comes back?
I wouldn't put it in those words. I would say there comes a certain point where the world, like I said, there's kind of two strains. Either the world is as Christian as it's going to get, and then Jesus comes back for the final judgment, or the world is going to come to some certain point to usher in.
But the purpose of the church, is to make as many Christians as possible.
Yeah, to
spread as much as possible.
Yeah, to proclaim the gospel, to Christianize the world as much as we can.
So under that paradigm, you need to evangelize. So what you're doing, you love God's people, you love everyone. You're trying to get as many people into the kingdom as possible.
Yeah. And so to answer your question, I think God has just genuinely given me a desire for these things. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm ever going to become a pastor or anything like that. I want to. Our
like you need a podcast.
I would love to come on this podcast with you guys, man. I love that y'all talk about these things. I like that can we cuss on this?
Yeah.
I love that that's the podcast.
It's in the name.
Well, I know, but you have it asterisked out, so I don't know if you can say it or not.
We don't bleep ourselves unless it's like in the intros or toward the beginning of the podcast.
Okay, got you. But Christ Kirk, I told you that church up in Moscow, their slogan is all of Christ for all of life. Like Christ is king over anything and everything. And I think he's king over cuss words. And so like Jesus is king over this Christ to our Christians talking about shit podcast. And there's a sense of, I want this kind of stuff to be redeemed. Like we need to be able to talk these kind of things. I don't think we need to be vulgar all the time. But there's a part.
What's what you mean with the words?
Exactly.
Words are tools that convey intent.
Yeah, and I think exactly. And we when you read the prophets, I'm sorry, we're all over the place, but like, dude, when you read like Elijah and the prophets of Baal, I mean, dude, he's all like, "Where's your God? Is he taking a shit? Where is he?" Like that's the word being used. We're pious people. We don't put that.
Right.
We say he's in the bathroom.
How dare we?
Yeah, and so, but you hear like in Ezekiel when he's talking to Israel, he says, "You're like horny women looking for men with big wieners." Like that's what it's like. This is God's prophets talking this way, but we're too pious to talk that way. Like, oh, that's vulgar. You can't talk that way to people. This is not. I think there's a time and place for that.
Yeah.
And Christians need to be able to utilize it.
You use this certain set of sounds that mean something.
Yeah.
You can say it with this other word like poop and it's fine.
Yeah.
But if you say it that way, it's not
then
okay.
you're upset. And the bummer is that it's people on our side who get upset about it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like Christians are like, I can't believe you said that. But like, well, you should go read Ezekiel. You will be very offended.
Isaiah walked around naked for 3 years.
Yeah, isn't that wild? Crazy.
Yeah. I have a soft spot for Ezekiel. I think he had a rough go.
He did have a rough go. Ezekiel's a really cool book in general, man. Anyways, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm not answering your question. I know the stuff because I love it. I enjoy it. I don't have like, I don't like really like sports that much. I like baseball, but I definitely don't. I hear people who talk about like who's on the teams, who's not, what's their score averages and all that. And I'm like, like that stuff doesn't interest me at all, but I'll talk theology all day. Like I love it. And I'm come to this place now where I think for so long I had so much, it was just heady stuff. And it couldn't apply to my own life or to other people. It just was knowledge to have and tote around like a virtue signal. And I would like to think the Lord's bringing me to a place where it's like, I don't want it to just be knowledge I have that I can just tote in front of people, like, look how smart and look how whatever I am. But like, I come here, I'm talking to stuff like you guys. I'm not saying it just so you can be like, look what I know. Mm-hmm. It's like, I mean, I'm talking about postmillennialism and infant baptism because really ultimately I'm like, dude, I will let you guys be postmillennial, man. Let's take over our homes. Let's take over our streets. Let's say, right, county before country. Like that's, dude, if we all die and Nacogdoches is a just recognizable, someone can just say like, yeah, Nacogdoches, man, that's like that really like kind of Christian town. If we died and that's all we did, to God be the glory for all of it. That's just our one little pebble on the giant temple that God's making. Which will be finished at the end of all time. And so, what are you looking at? What is this?
You're
looking at vulgar stuff.
This is a card game that I found just kind of Googling ourselves, the podcast, and they have a whole blog. The card game is called A Game for Good Christians. And supposedly through this card game, there's a lot of vulgar language.
Is this like Cards Against Humanity for Christians?
I don't even know how to even play the card game. But they have a blog that kind of goes hand in hand with it, and they had a whole a questionnaire that they sent out to the people that purchased the game, and said, okay, there may be some cards out there that you kind of took off the table and don't use in your normal, because of the profanity. Why is that? And kind of sent them a questionnaire, and there was their response letter to that. it was really, really interesting, and I would love to get in touch with these guys and see if one day we could
sponsor the podcast.
Yeah, maybe sponsor or
like
at least just get
have
them
an
on.
episode of just playing the game. Just
Yeah.
like, that'd be pretty sick.
That'd be cool. That'd be
That's
cool.
That'd be really dope.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I would love to spin this off into.
I do appreciate the knowledge base though, because it's like there's a lot in history with the church that I don't even know. Like, you mean tons of it because I haven't studied it, and like it's good to.
I definitely don't know.
Refreshing to hear.
Yeah, thanks, man. I read a really cool book here recently by Gavin Ortland. It's called I think what it means to be Protestant, or why we need the Protestant church, something like that. If Gavin Ortland, you'll be able to find it. But it was a really cool book because I've noticed recently. I don't have social media. I'm not online at all. But so everything I learn is like from YouTube. But like I've noticed here recently. Not even recently, here probably in the last like 10 years, there's been this big shift. There's been a lot of Protestant Christians becoming Catholic or Eastern Orthodox. And the reason really ultimately comes down to they are looking at the state of just your typical evangelical church. And there's just this yearning. They realize like it feels like something's missing from here. It feels like our church worship is very low. The sermons are kind of just really surface level. There's really just no depth to what's happening here. And it's like, is this really all Christianity is about?
It's like it's not sacrosanct.
Yeah, or that's what, and yeah. What do you mean by that?
Almost watered
like
down.
Sacred.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't seem. It doesn't
treat
feel
it
holy.
like it's something far bigger than all of us.
Yeah, it just seems like it seems most churches you walk into, Christian like worship. What happens on Sunday is just like it's a concert and a TED talk. That's all it is. And it's like yeah. So there's been a lot of Christians who feel like there's got to be more than this, and then like the internet is what probably blew this out of the water. You get on YouTube and you find like the Ortho Bros or the Trad Cats, and you just find all these cool little YouTube shorts or TikTok shorts of like gorgeous like Catholic churches with like Gregorian chants happening in the background, and it looks sick. You're like, that's dope. I would like to be a part of that. It's very much like all the rose colored, the best of whatever it is. And so you have a lot of Christians leaving it, and they're leaving in droves because they think that the Protestant church doesn't have anything like that to offer, right? It doesn't have this, like you.
I think it's structural. It's not sacrosanct.
It's not sacrosanct. I don't think like the Protestant church doesn't have anything holy to offer.
But it's also not. It's like lacks structure.
I think
like
so,
we operate really well in structure. Like we know that with children, where when you have rules in place, they operate well inside that rule structure. If there's no rules around, kids run wild and they're not happy at the same time. I think there's a certain amount of that to church as well, where it's like kind of just like, let's have a structure, a thing that we do, that the repetition. And I think that does lead toward vain repetitions.
Absolutely. Yeah, it could. Yeah.
And certainly can be taken wrong, but I get like where there's an emptiness when it's so amorphous at church and like it's just a concert.
That's a good way. Like amorphic. It just feels almost like just this blob. Like it doesn't have no shape or structure to it. It doesn't like nothing solid, grounded, that's unmoving. Anyways, Gavin Ortland wrote this book, right? What is it? What it means to be Protestant. Fantastic book, man. But it's kind of like just like I said, there's so much out there like become Catholic, become Orthodox. And this is a book saying like, no, like become Protestant, like being Protestant rules. Like, and there's like, he makes kind of, I think, a distinct difference. Well, maybe it's not him. There's another guy, but like there's a difference between Protestantism and just kind of evangelicalism. Protestantism obviously has more history to it. And like I said, it has more of that structure, mainline kind of denominationalism, even though most mainline churches are liberal now.
What denominations would you put in Protestantism? Like Lutherans?
I would say like classical Protestantism would be Lutherans, Presbyterians, Continental Reformed, or you can just say Reformed, Anglicans, or Episcopalian. That's what you'd call them. I would say those four. Those are the four main ones. Baptists, loosely, like I said, they started off as a radical movement at first, but they kind of solidified themselves late 17th century, so like 80s. And they came over. There's only two. I'm talking more specifically about American Protestantism. Protestantism looks different all like in South America. But American Protestantism, I would say Lutherans, Baptists, Presbyterians, Reformed, and Episcopalian. Those are, I would say that is historic Protestantism. It wasn't until the late 1800s that the rise of the non-denominational church, and it wasn't called that till like the 20th century, I think. I forget when it was, but like non-denominational, so like not being attached to a
governing
an institution, I guess, if you will. That really kind of didn't happen until kind of during and after the Second Awakening. And Gavin Ortland, some other people kind of would say like all Christians, I'm saying that they're not, that evangelicals are like the not institutional people are not Christians. But they say there is kind of a genuine difference. And the reason we have to make that difference is because Catholics, when it comes to why you shouldn't be Protestant, the first place they're going to point to is like a big gaudy mega church that has the lasers and fog machines and all that kind of stuff. Where it's like, yeah, but if you look at like you came to our church on Sunday, it's not going to look like that at all. Our church is going to look, even though we're not part of like, I would say like one of these like original like structures, we are a Presbyterian church, and I think we probably look more like mainline. But you know, say it's an unfair caricature to be like, you know, say you should become Catholic because if you stay Protestant, that's what you're going to do. It's just going to be a rock show and a TED talk every Sunday for the rest of your life. And there's nothing.
Yeah, that's not in your church.
Yeah, that's not what the church looks like. And so, anyways, it's a really good book, man. He just really like, I got done reading it and I was just really jazzed up. I was like, holy cow, being Protestant rules, and I'm always going to be Protestant. And so,
what would you consider evangelical?
I would put, and I said this not to be offensive at all, I would put Mosaic I would put y'all's church like as like a typical, like an evangelical church. Like I said, Christian, by all means of the church imagination, but like you said, non-denominational, not attached to an institutional body, which is ironic because like you said, it's non-denominational, has kind of become a denomination.
Yeah.
But it's a domination of detached churches that doesn't have, it's almost like
they don't answer to anyone outside them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would put that, a lot of Baptist church, like I said,
but those governing bodies can be corrupted as well.
Absolutely. Well, that's what I'm saying. You guys, when y'all had Stephen on, you're talking about Westminster Presbyterian. I know there's guys who watch it who go there. I'm sorry, y'all, but your church is not a Christian church. It's liberalism. J. Gresham Machen wrote a book back in the 30s called Christianity and Liberalism. And his whole argument was that the church, the mainliners, had become liberal in their theology and everything that they believed. Jesus is not God. The Trinity's not real. The Bible's not true. It's like all the tenets of Christianity get pulled away.
Dig into that. Like how would define liberalism.
So liberalism, I would say, liberalism was a movement, and is a movement now. Liberalism, secularism can probably be kind of joined together. But in essence, the church shirked away. This is post-Enlightenment too. The Enlightenment period kind of really helped move all this as well. The Age of Reason, where everything that was considered Orthodox Christianity, liberalism has in essence chucked out. It's going to look different, congregation, maybe even denomination. But your typical liberal church is going to deny the infallibility and inerrancy of the Bible. The Bible is not God's word. It is a book of just a bunch of men wrote about God. It could be right, could be wrong. A lot of it's actually wrong because it denies, it talks bad about gay people and talks good about slavery, and that's just old ancient stuff, and none of that's true. We need to get rid of all that kind of stuff. Well, the moment you chuck out the Bible, the moment the Bible is not God's word, everything else is up for grabs. And so most have trajected towards either like Unitarianism, so a denial of the Trinity, a denial of Jesus's divinity or his life, death, and resurrection.
So what does that mean though? Like
divinity?
Denial of the Trinity.
To not believe that the God we worship is eternally Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
What does that mean?
That's so we obviously as Christians, we believe the church for all of its history, like I said, all this liberalism didn't happen until the 19th, 20th, into the 21st century. But the church has understood, being led by the Holy Spirit, has understood the Bible teaches that we worship one God, and this God is comprised of three co-eternal persons. The Father, I'm going to use Nicene Chalcedonian church history language here. The Father, eternally unbegotten. The Son, eternally begotten. And the Spirit, eternally proceeding from the Father and the Son. That's the God we worship. If the God you worship is not the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who poured out his Spirit on his church, you do not worship the Christian God, right? And so to deny that God is I would say to deny the faith. There's the Athanasian Creed, which says this, and I think this is very staunch. You could disagree with this, but it says, "This is the holy Catholic faith, without which no one can be saved. That we worship one God in Trinity, that Trinity in unity." That's right. That is, yes. To come into this kingdom is to believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and be saved. Right? Jesus' life, death, and the gospel is Jesus is Lord, and that Jesus died on the cross. Jesus rose from the dead physically, truly and really, which liberals mostly deny as well, and that Jesus ascended.
So when you say liberal,
liberal denominations, I would say
are we saying that from like a modern like political standpoint? Or are we
no, when I say liberals, I'm talking about theological liberalism. Okay. So liberal churches deny that. Most of them do. Some don't. Some people watch this like, our church believes that Jesus died and rose from the dead. That's great. You're in the minority. Most.
Yeah. If you don't believe that Jesus died and rose from the dead, then you're not believing the Bible.
Exactly. But I'm saying, but we obviously, I believe, and most Christians have always believed, and I think you believe that Jesus is God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, I mean, to deny.
Well, we have to define I think we have I can get really esoteric with the term. I'm like, what does that term mean?
Sure. Okay.
What do you actually mean by all those individual terms?
Jesus is Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is Yahweh. He is the Son of Yahweh. The Holy Spirit is the Spirit of Yahweh. The one true living God, the God of the universe who created heaven and earth, is Yahweh, right? That's Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever you want to call him, the Lord, as we put in our English translations. That is the one true God.
I am that I am.
I am that I am, right? That God has revealed himself fully in Jesus Christ, showing us that that Yahweh is triune, that Yahweh is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. That is the God we worship. To deny that, I would say, is to deny who God is, and thus you're not worshiping the one true God. To look at the one true God and acclaim glory and kingdom and majesty and honor and dominion to him, and to say that he is something that he is not, or to deny who he is, you're not worshiping the same God as me anymore. And that, like you and Steve, y'all were talking about Mormonism for a little bit, and Mormonism would fall into that category of not true. Now, they'll use all the same words. We believe Jesus is the Son of God. We believe he died on the cross and he rose from the dead. But you deny that Jesus is the eternal God. You think he is he's created from Elohim, who they call the Father, right? And that he elevated himself to godhood, and that we're all going to become gods one day. That's a different Jesus. Same thing Muslims will say, we believe in Jesus, but the Jesus you believe is not God. He's not God's son. He did not die on a cross, so he definitely didn't rise from the dead. We can use the same words, but we're obviously talking about two different things. And for Muslims, you believe in Jesus that never existed. Very strange stuff there. But so that's kind of what I'm getting at.
But I guess the rub for me is that it's something extremely complicated.
Sure. I don't think it has to be that complicated. You can get in the weeds and make it complicated.
I think, but like to come to that concept that, of triunity, and then like that being the dividing line
of
salvation per se, when you're following all the tenets that Jesus said, if you love me, you keep my commandments, you believe on my name, you do these things. It's like, I mean, I don't know. Like, what if you just don't know? Like, what if you don't know? Like, I mean,
what do you mean you don't know? Like if you're a Christian,
God's triune or not triune. Like, what if you're like, I don't know. This is what the church believes. Can I point to the thing in
like someone
Bible?
who's a Christian who says, I don't know if God is triune or not? Or are you talking about like someone on an island somewhere who's never heard the gospel?
A Christian who's like, I don't know, nor do I like, say, call it a hill to die on or something. Like,
is this a hill to die on or not?
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, like, what if you genuinely just, let's say I'm in the camp a little bit where it's like, I don't actually like know really.
Okay.
Like, God, it could be both. Jesus could be the Father, or the Father could have.
We don't believe Jesus is the Father, though.
Okay, what does that mean?
So that's
where it gets. This is why it's complicated, because
we believe in one God. I'm going to use church history, like what we call Chalcedonian Orthodoxy. We believe in one God in his essence, right? The differentiation is essence and personages.
Okay.
You and I am one essence and one person. That's the only way I can exist. Okay. You are one essence and one person. God, Yahweh, is one in essence. There is only one essence that is Yahweh, the God.
Define essence.
I can't. That's too that.
That's
sure. But okay.
Yeah.
God is creator. We are creature. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make that distinction. Okay.
Yep.
Your essence and my essence. I am a creature. I have a creaturely essence. You have a creaturely essence. You have a creaturely essence. God is creator essence. Who he is different, right? So is that
yeah?
We can start there.
Okay.
So God's essence is completely different from ours. He is wholly separated from us in that sense. This is essence. That essence exists eternally in three persons: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Father is the Father only in his person, but in his essence, fully God. Jesus is the Son in his person, but in his essence, fully God. The Holy Spirit is the Spirit in his person. Essence, he is fully God.
So are they three separate entities?
They are three separate persons, but they share the same essence. But they're not separated into thirds. They share the same full essence of who God.
But when I say entity, it's like I have a different mind than you do.
Yes, the Father. I mean, like I said, you think about like the typical Sunday school triangle, right? All arrows point to God. The Father is God, the Son is God, the Holy Spirit is God. The Father is not the Son is not the Spirit, and the Spirit is not the Father.
So I guess my misinterpretation is like I was kind of always under the assumption that like the Trinitarians, they believe that they're the same beings.
They are, see, that being and essence could be the same. That it depends on how you define the Greek
By
word.
being, I mean like mind.
They share in their
Entity,
essence.
mind.
In their essence, yes.
That's why we need to define the word.
Yeah,
essence.
we define essences. Yeah. I think, like I said, that like you just proved the point. What you're saying. This gets very complicated. How can your average Christian?
Okay, so take like the analogy of like when a man marries a woman, like they become one flesh.
Yeah, that's not a good analogy.
Not a good analogy.
Yeah, and it's so funny. There's a funny video. You can look it up. It's called Hey Patrick on the Trinity. I don't know if you can play it on here or not, but it's two Irish peasants from like the 300s talking to St. Patrick, and St. Patrick is trying to describe the Trinity to them, and they're like trying to explain this Trinity business to us. It's we're just two dumb peasants. We don't understand this. And so he tries doing an analogy. So, it's like an egg. And they're like, and then they start talking about the different heresies that is. And he's like, that's modalism, or that's Arianism. And at the end, they're like, you're not explaining it right. And then he just uses Chalcedonian language. Fine, we believe in one God who is eternally one in essence and three eternal persons. No. And they're like, why didn't you just say so?
Well, I would say what I lean toward is that Jesus was there from the beginning.
Yeah.
So rather uncreated. The Father, Son, and Holy Ghost all agree in one.
Okay.
They're like they're together as a single unit, but like when Jesus came down, he's like, not my will but thine be done. Well, if you're the same, if you're two separate, if you're the exact same individual,
sure.
If God is like in Jesus's body, here to die for mankind, the Father's in the Son's body,
to
die for mankind, then how can you have separate wills?
Right.
And that's how I've always heard it debated over the years, is between those two.
And that's what it is right in the midst of the argument, or they're trying to understand it, you're blurring the lines between essence and person, or being and persons. That's where the blur is happening. And yeah, it's tough, man. It's not, it is definitely, and this is God we're speaking of. Like, that really,
we look through a glass darkly.
Well, yeah, genuinely, like I said, we are being changed from one degree of glory to the next. What John says, a day is coming when we will see him, and we will know him, because we will see him. And so it's it's tough stuff.
So the rub for me there is like, if that's the only thing you got wrong, like about that, the belief about the character of God and the Son and the Holy Spirit, if that's all you got wrong in your life, you did everything else right. Where do you land on Judgment Day? That's where the rub is.
Yeah, I get it. I would put it this way. Someone does not have to understand the Trinity like the way we're talking about here. But if someone came to my church and was obstinate that Jesus is not eternal, Jesus was created, and that is the hill I'm going to die on, I would say, one, obviously that's against the Bible. It's very clear that Jesus was not created, that he is the Word who was with God in the beginning. He is the one and only.
I mean, he says multiple times that he was there. Like, he was there on Mount Sinai. He was there.
So I think there's a difference between a loose, or the church says that God's triune. I don't understand all the ins and outs of that, but I mean, they show me in the Bible. Yeah, it says that the Father's God. It says that Jesus is God. It says Spirit's God. I don't get how that all works, but I'll get behind that. That's fine. That's different than someone coming in saying that Jesus is not God. God created him, and the Spirit is not a person, but he's just some force that's out there in the world doing forcey things. I think there's a difference there. I think someone who's being obstinately anti-Trinitarian versus someone who's like, I don't really, I'm kind of, I get what you're saying. I don't know all the language. Like I said, and that's why this was.
So it's more the denial aspect.
I would say that, yeah. Like I said, there's a reason why the church had to debate this for hundreds of years. We had the Council of Nicaea, the Council of Chalcedon, we had the Council of oh gosh, I can't remember. But I was saying, this was not just the early churches didn't have. I think they had it squared away, but they had people coming in who didn't understand it, and they had people like Arian who were saying, yeah, Jesus isn't the eternal God. He was created. He's the most highly created. He's the most eminent, glorious thing God ever created, but he definitely isn't eternal. The church had to deal with that. They're like, well, that Bible doesn't say that, and and that's why we have things like the Nicene Creed and the Athanasian Creed and all that kind of stuff.
I even lean toward that Jesus was the one who made the covenant with Israel, or with Moses on Mount Sinai and Israel, because he's the one who had to die to break the covenant.
That's good.
Because
I'm with you on that.
A husband has to, in order for a wife to be free, the husband has to die.
Yep.
So if the father made the covenant with Israel, why did the son have to die? Because that's not how the law works.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. Jude 5. Jude, which is crazy. Jude, Jesus' brother, half brother. I want to remind you, brethren.
Not if you're Catholic.
Not if you're Catholic.
Because Mary never had sex. Mary never had sex.
I saw a funny meme. It was one of those like video memes, but it was from Breaking Bad. I forget what episode it was, but it's like where Walter's talking to Jesse and he's like, "We." There is no "we," right? That kind of infamous scene. And it's Mary talking. It's like Jesse is just a Christian, for all have fallen short of the glory of God, or all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And Walter White is Mary. She's like, "We." There is no "we" here. I've never sinned. I've never done anything. That was really funny.
Joseph.
Yeah. But anyways, but Jude, right? Jude, Jesus' half brother, says this in his epistle at verse 5. He says, "I want to remind you, brethren, that Jesus saved a people out of Egypt and later destroyed those who didn't believe." That's radical, man. Like I'm saying, to make the claim, the God who was a pillar of smoke by day and a pillar of fire by night, who split the Red Sea and literally killed Pharaoh's army and his chariots. That was Jesus who did that. Right, that's one thing. Jesus saved Israel. And then, I think the second part's even more wild. Then the same Jesus destroyed those later who did not believe. We love talking about Jesus loving and saving people. We don't talk about Jesus destroying people a lot.
I think about 65% of the things Jesus said were negative.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Talk about hell more than anything else in the Bible. But you talk about, this is another thing that's been kind of racking my head here recently. Are we good on time? I don't want to go too far. Okay.
What are we?
We have this crazy, I think we have this idea in our head that like the Trinity was really some kind of really new fandangled thing that the church kind of came up with, or even that Jesus came and taught. Like this is the first time that God's people had to wrap their mind around one God existing in different persons or multiple persons. But we had Bible study yesterday and his name is Zach. He's such a cool guy, but he taught on Moses striking the rock twice, that whole episode. But like I brought 1 Corinthians 10, that Christ that rock falled in the desert, and that rock was Christ. Mm-hmm. And I was reading with my daughter this morning. My youngest, she's in Genesis, and we read about Hagar, and then she's seeing the angel of the Lord, or the angel of Yahweh, and he talks to her, and then so let me go to it. I'll make sure I don't misquote it, because it's so awesome. It's a trip. But let's see here. Sorry, 2 seconds. Yeah, Hagar and Ishmael. So she runs away from Sarah and says, "The angel of the Lord found her by a spring in the wilderness, and the spring by the way of Shur. He said, Hagar, slave of," this is the angel of the Lord, angel of Yahweh, "Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going?" She replied, "I'm running away from my mistress Sarai." The angel of the Lord said to her, "Go back to your mistress, submit to her authority." The angel of the Lord said to her, "I will greatly multiply your offspring," and then to be an account. It's a conversation between her and this angel of the Yahweh, whoever this person is. They talk back and forth a little bit, and then she says, in verse 13, "So she named Yahweh, who spoke to her, 'You are El Roi,' the God who sees me." So you have this weird thing happen. This happens throughout the New Testament, the Old Testament a lot, where this person comes, the angel of Yahweh, angel of God, the angel of God, or especially the angel of Lord, all caps, which is the tetragrammaton, the angel of Yahweh, and he says things and tells people to do things, and people's reaction more often than not is to worship him or to refer to him as Yahweh, the Lord. And most theologians would agree that is Jesus, that the angel of the Lord showing up in the Old Testament is Jesus showing up pre-incarnate, right? He hasn't taken on flesh yet, but is the pre-incarnate Christ.
Disagree.
You don't think he took on flesh yet? Well, I think that would make
which part?
Oh, that the angel of Yahweh is Jesus.
Take on flesh yet?
Are you talking about because of Melchizedek?
Where's the defined taking on? Like he hasn't taken on the form of Jesus,
right? He has.
There's no reason he has
not taken
on with a physical body.
He could, he does, because he eats like with Abraham.
But he wasn't born. He wasn't necessarily born of a woman.
Yeah, he was not born of a woman under the law. He was not the son of the Virgin Mary yet. So sorry, that's good. Actually, you know what? I just grew right there. I took something on. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because he does things. He does physical things. And you know what's crazy? He eats a lot, which is a really big biblical
when they
thing.
came to Abraham,
they sat down and ate
for him.
When Jesus, I'm gonna say Jesus comes to this, the angel of Yahweh is Jesus. When Jesus comes to Samson's mom, they eat. Yep. When Moses and the elders of Israel go up on Mount Sinai and make a covenant with Yahweh, it says they sat down and ate with Yahweh face to face. Like you said, that's Jesus. Jesus made the covenant with them. I think they went up on the mountain and ate with Jesus.
I said I lean that way.
I'd say you just plant your flag and be like, this is exactly what it is. Anyways, the point I'm getting is the Old Testament already has these categories of, we believe in one God, and his throne is in heaven, right? That's what it makes it very clear. He's created heaven and earth. Heaven is his throne, the earth is his footstool. But yet, then you have this angel of Yahweh who shows up, and people are treating him like God. You have this pillar of fire and smoke by it, right? When the temple's built and Solomon gives his prayer, he says, "Can Yahweh dwell in a temple?" Right? Yahweh, your throne is in heaven. God's in heaven, but yet God's in a temple, right? Mm-hmm. There are these categories of God existing.
Well, in the same way that he dwells in all of us.
Sure, but I'm saying, but like to take on a physical, like this angel of Yahweh showing up and doing things, right? It could be very like, well, that's just one of God's angels. Well, yeah, but people are worshiping him and calling him Yahweh. John tries doing the same thing in Revelation. And what does the angel do? Tells him to get up and stop that. Whoa, don't worship me. Worship God alone. So it's not like some of the angels.
The angel didn't deny, the angels in the Old Testament didn't deny that who were
when the angel of Yahweh, when angel of Yahweh shows and they bow down and say, Abraham, right, says the angel of Yahweh appeared, and Abraham bowed and said, "May my Lord come in, let's eat." I forget what he said. I'm misquoting. They do, or Joshua.
But you're saying the fact that the angel didn't protest when the
one in it's proof
Revelation
that this is God showing up. But this God is a different person. He's the angel of Yahweh. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's like Jesus, when Jesus takes on flesh, the son of the Virgin Mary, going around proclaiming to be God. I don't think obviously the Pharisees didn't like it. They killed him for it. But this isn't some newfangled idea. This of God existing in different persons. Like I said, you have the angel of Yahweh, and we've been talking about 1 Corinthians 10, the rock that followed them. They're saying that this rock was Christ. Jesus was following them around the desert for 40 years as a rock. That's crazy, man. And so it's just this weird.
He took on rock form.
He took on rock form. Yeah. He not only did he take on flesh, but he took on stone. It's just a really cool. For me, I think we have this idea that like the Old Testament is so strictly monotheistic, and it is. Because we only do worship one God, but yet God has been revealing himself from the jump.
Well, I mean, we're still monotheistic in Christianity.
Yeah, we're still monotheistic. Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying, but obviously we have a developed language.
I have to disagree with rereading the Old Testament. You have the spirit of God that comes down on Saul and then leaves Saul. I mean, there's echoes. Well, there's spirits.
That's not what monotheism.
I'm saying there's echoes of the Trinity throughout the Old Testament.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. It was like even Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and void, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Then God spoke, and then God said,
"Let us make man."
He said, "Let there be light." So God,
jumping ahead,
the Spirit, and then God said, He speaks, right? Mm-hmm. John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word was with God. God was telling us, I've been triune from the jump, like verse 1 and 2, man. And so,
but he does when he creates man, he says, "Let us make man in our image."
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that, there's a bunch of little gods. The council of the gods are hanging out. Or it could just be the triune.
Are you on that? Are you on that speed? The council of the gods?
The
divine assembly?
I think whenever you're reading Genesis 1 and 2, slow down. Slow down.
Okay. No, I know. What's his name? Not Geisler? Is that his name? The Unseen Realm?
Michael Heiser.
That's where the Unseen Realm. I get that's kind of like a big thing right now. I'm okay with I get it. And I'm not necessarily disagree with it. I think some people take it way too far.
I feel like okay, so I'm on the conspiracy theory route. I'm conspiracy theory abused. That's what I keep telling people. Because I'm a second generation conspiracy theorist. Where I grew up from.
You grew up
again, like as much as I am Christian, as much as I am like I was raised Christian, I was raised conspiracy theorist. And like, but the thing is, I've seen so many people be neutered by it or distracted by it, where they're like they're useless to society. They're hiding in a cave, or they're going off grid. They're not changing the world around them.
That's so funny you bring that up.
So it's one of those things where I tend to shy away from it. So like when a lot of the blurry creature stuff and the Michael Heisner, like I'm not saying it's not true and I'm not saying it is true. Sometimes it feels like a distraction though.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
And you're getting distracted away from the Bible.
And I would argue against that to say that it has invigorated me to when I read my Bible. Mm-hmm. To add such additional context with regards to the backstory through that lens.
But that's that's how some people do take it, and they use it to grow in their faith, and other people go full blown QAnon.
Yeah, but I've also gone.
They'll be like Luther, like we thought a demon was behind every bush. You're gonna think there's some unseen Elohim behind every bush. Like, oh, this is the God of this nation. He's doing whatever. Like,
and then are you stripping power from God as well? Because God's the one in charge.
Yeah, he is
at the end of the day, and all.
That's why I get behind Michael Heiser. It's like God is like all Elohim. Elohim just means spirit. I get that. And it's like Yahweh is the Elohim over the Elohim. Like I get that. Like I track it theology, but like you said, maybe it's just too weird.
I think if you really think about it from a legalistic standpoint, with regards to why do we even need a law? What is there? Why is there this precepts of rules and law and order of the universe? And then you kind of peer back with regards to, maybe what the initial intent with regards to these order of these fallen angels are things of that. And you kind of pair that with different religions and how, everybody claims to have the true way to worship. And then if you think about it once again through the lens of these little g gods, twisting and converting that to direct that praise back to them instead, and how they have had influences across
is this
history.
Is this in the realm where like praise gives them power, like the Greek gods?
Once again, I think what you call as what did you say earlier? The most popular religions? What'd you say?
Something to that effect, like mainstream.
Most mainstream religions. I think your perception of that is in 2025 looking at what is being shouted the loudest. And I'm
no, it's more around the fact that like Catholicism spread all over the entire world, just about everywhere that they colonized.
And I'm saying that it is way, in my opinion, it is way more underlying with regards to love of money, the love of, idolatry with regards to music and things of that nature. I think there's a lot woven into our culture that is pagan, is fallen angel, and so,
but like is
that directs our attention, our efforts, our worship, right? We already spoke earlier a couple podcasts ago about how everybody has an innate, learn a new word, not inert, innate, to worship something.
Innate desire.
There's there's a theologian I was talking to. He says we're not Homo sapiens. We're Homo liturgicus. We are worshiping creatures. We're that more than right. Homo sapien means like just to be, like we're creatures that are whatever.
Yeah.
And we're more than that. He goes, what we are to our core is worshiping things. We are created to that's the number one goal.
We've seen that
for anything else.
When we've gotten rid of God in modern culture, like you seek out something to worship.
Yeah.
You create another religion.
Yeah.
Like leftism has its sacred cows and its
sacrosanct things. It's taboos and heresies.
I think 100 years from now, they would look back and think, in the ruins of American society, they would look and see what we placed our values in and what our architecture looked like, and see the Wall Street, if you will, and it would be a completely different perception with regards to what they worship, right, versus just the mainstream populist religions, if you will.
What do you think is like the
I think it's more intrinsic than that.
What do you think is like the main like religion of America then? Like, is it like with the Mason stuff? Because I totally see that all over the place, man.
It's Masons that were birthed out of Jesuits coming from the
heard that.
Getting kicked out of the Catholic Church back in the day. They were dipping into King Solomon's, it's going all the way back to these schools of magic and things, and it's never gone away.
But aren't those people just deceived too?
Deceived what?
They're just deceived in their actions and beliefs.
Sure, yeah. I'm not saying they're not deceived, but I'm saying
saying like
what you perceive,
it exists.
Yes, what you perceive with regards to a mainstream religion or value system has an undertone, in my opinion, ingrained in the fallen world. Now, once again, I don't think that would fall into a postmillennial point of view that we're living in a more, I would think the exact opposite, that we're going the other
Christian
way.
Than we were.
Yeah, that we're going the exact opposite direction.
And I would say maybe in the immediate context, like there's another thing too, like because I'm post-millennial, I don't think that America is going to be this, like I'm with you, America could be gone 50 years from now, like totally just completely overrun. That's not going to dismiss my post-millennial hope of what the grand scheme of things are happening. But
there's a very interesting theory that I've been going back to over and over, and I think I mentioned it earlier in the show about how the Roman Empire never fell.
Yeah,
and it just really converted into the Catholic Church, and how it's. I mean, you see that as they wage war against pretty much everyone throughout all those years, and just spread and continue to plant quote unquote churches everywhere, and they have their monks and their emissaries. And
so what do you think about the Reformation then? Do you think that was like a legitimate? Because like I said, we broke. I don't want to say we. See, this is hard about language because we kind of have these summed up things. The Protestant Reformation wasn't us breaking away from the Catholic Church. We wanted to reform it. We wanted to be in accordance with the Word of God. It was the Catholics who said, "You're done and you're out."
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? Are we the products of this secret Roman Empire posing to be the church, or did the Protestant reformers like legitimately break away from what they saw there and came back to actually this is what biblical Christianity?
Yeah, because there's so much corruption with regards to the priesthood, and the ruling class over that time, and the lack of literacy. Now that Protestant movement, obviously grew and then comes over here. I mean, it
took on its own forms.
It goes when you. And once again, it's all about the history that you choose to believe and what they tell you happened. There's
the history you choose to believe doesn't.
Did Hitler kill 6 million Jews, or is that number totally off?
Oh, I think it's definitely legit. Why not?
You think it's legit? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying like it sounds like you're talking like what's post-war consensus. The people who are like, oh, that was Germany.
Well, I think
the Third Reich was totally. The history books have completely blurred that.
I think the British let us win. I think the British
let us win.
I think the British had treaties.
You and my wife would be like this.
I think the British had treaties with the natives that they could not break, and allowing us to quote unquote beat them and whoop them.
How did we go for this is the Revolutionary War?
Well, we're following after the Reformation.
We were just talking about World War II.
I know.
Okay. I was going to be there. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The British let the Americans win the Revolutionary War. Who gives a shit about treaties? See, that's the thing for me is like might does make right when it comes to governments. The one with the biggest army wins, or the best tactics.
Yeah.
And like so saying that the Roman Empire has just been like sifting its way over here and sifting its way over there, like I believe in a lot more chaos than that. I think the world's much more chaotic.
Okay.
Like, because going back to that, then it should be Egypt. Like the Egyptian power morphed into Rome, and then Rome morphed into Roman Catholics, and like I know.
No. Yes.
I know. I don't know. That's where you
and proving my point for me.
Actually,
thank you. We have a freaking pyramid on our dollar. Trump is literally talking about building a triumph on American soil.
So we were just in New York City a couple weeks ago or whatever, and so me and the guy I work with, we went walking around Central Park. We're just like, let's walk around Central Park, stroll, let's head toward the Met. And all of a sudden we come along this obelisk. This big, legit Egyptian obelisk right behind the Met.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa.
That
was kind of wild. And we were not looking for it either.
Right, yeah. It's just there.
And
it penis. No.
Listen, it all goes back. It all goes back to, in my opinion, until we're met with them face to face to actually get that vantage point to see back in history, to see what really happened.
Sure.
If we're even allowed to do that.
I'm not saying that powers are not weaving through nations and controlling things, and people are jockeying to maintain their position, and there's been a flow going back for a long way. I'm not arguing that at all. But I think that there's just a lot of chaos, and there's a lot of war. A lot of stuff got overturned in World War I. All of Europe was overturned. Nations were created.
The reason postmillennialism is not the major eschatological kind of like forced. Like that's the reason most people aren't post-millennial now is because of World War One. Like especially after World War Two too. It totally destroyed like the
because I got this couldn't happen.
Yeah, like this.
World War Three.
Yeah, I know,
all right. Well, that might be a good place to end it.
You went in there, yeah. Oh man, we didn't get to talk about is the moon landing real? Is that I know that's like surface level.
You can come back.
I'll come. Yeah, we should come back and we'll talk. We talked theology. We got to talk conspiracy theories.
Okay.
I like to say wild stuff to people. Like people like we're like, oh, you like conspiracy theories? Like, do you think the moon landing was real? And I'll say something stupid like, I don't even think the moon's real.
So you're one of those people. You're one of those people who believes in the moon.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'm like, I don't even believe the moon's real, man. They're like, what? I'm like, if it is real, it's flat. It's pancake up there.
Disc up there. Yeah, it's just a mirror in the sky.
Well, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah,
this was
cool.
awesome.
It's a blast.
It was fun. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I feel like I didn't look at you a lot while we were talking.
That's all right. That's my life.
Yeah, this was fun, man. No, legit, I would love to come on again. This was really fun talking to you guys.
We'd love to have
I hope
you.
it wasn't too offensive or...
No.
Okay.
We'll let them hash it out in the comments.
They can hash. I probably will. And yeah, I'm going to not look at them because it'll make me a sad boy. Don't be mean to me.
See ya.
Bye.